Chapter 1276. Lu Kuan was lying by the wall. Because the blood in his muscles had all condensed in his body, he looked like a bag of bones with no strength left in him. There was a strange change in his body. The snow soul blades were tightly connected and turned into the shape of an elliptical sphere. Every blade was trembling slightly as if it was strenuous. Underneath these blades, his organs were completely different from before. The boundaries between the organs had disappeared and they were fused together. They turned into an elliptical sphere of blood and flesh that hung on the silver spine. Its slippery surface was dotted with milky white brain matter and streaks of blood and flesh. It looked extremely tough, but even so, there was still a terrifying force that made it shrink inward. Fortunately, it was blocked by the snow soul blade. Lu Kuan was unaware of this situation. His senses seemed to have entered a new space. This was a sealed elliptical sphere. There was a silver ocean surging in it. In the middle of the ocean, 5 small islands were floating gently. They were closely connected and surrounded a sealed pool. The pool was flashing with the colors of gold, silver, and black. Looking from afar, there was a small whirlpool that was swirling inside. Strange ripples were rippling outwards. After the ripples hit the surrounding islands, they stirred up layers of waves that rolled outwards on the vast silver ocean. Where is this place? The aura is so familiar. The silver ocean here is my blood essence. Those 5 islands are my heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys? Lu Kuan was extremely shocked. He focused his senses and sensed inside. The whirlpool in the pool seems to have a wisp of black gas. At this moment, the wisp of black gas disappeared and the whirlpool stopped. The entire elliptical sphere seemed to have lost some kind of support and shattered. He felt that the world was spinning. His divine sense left the central nervous system and returned to his sea of consciousness. His blood essence also returned to his muscles and his body became full again. Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes and looked at his body in a daze. Buzz! At this moment, the sound of a blade was heard from his body. He heard the sound of the snow soul blade and was stunned. Schwer, are you saying that my organs and flesh collapsed inwards? Buzz, hearing this, Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with disbelief. He muttered. After it mixed into the central nervous system, the Yuan force went out of control and produced a reverse force. The organs turned into an elliptical shape. After the Yuan force disappeared, the organs returned to normal? Buzz. After receiving a positive answer, Lu Kuan carefully sensed his internal organs. After discovering that they were not damaged, he took a deep breath and said with a serious expression, "If that's the case, then let's try again. Schwerer, help protect your internal organs." Lu Kuan listened to the sound of the blade in his body. Another ball of true devil water gushed out from his soft ribs. It was about twice as much as before. He wanted to confirm if the Yunyuan power was the power that maintained the strange space just now. As he thought about it, his body began to shrink again. All the blood essence in his body gathered in his body, and the power of his bloodline surged. He once again activated the demonic ape transformation. Boom! Under the suppression of the blood essence, that terrifying power was confined in his organs. Lu Kuan did not hesitate. His consciousness quickly surged into his central nervous system. His brain turned into milky white liquid and flowed into his internal organs along his spinal nerve. Lu Kuan endured the heavy impact in his body and tried his best to sense the situation in his body. He discovered that after the Yuan power was suppressed by the blood essence, it produced a suction force that collapsed inwards and merged his internal organs into an oval ball of flesh. Because he did not have enough control, this violent power was extremely unstable. Fortunately, he had the snow soul blade wrapped around him to maintain it. Otherwise, his internal organs would have continued to collapse and be squeezed into a pool of blood. After this ball of flesh was formed, Lu Kuan's central nervous system sensed the oval ocean space. It was obviously inside the ball of flesh. The silver ocean is my blood essence, the 5 islands are my internal organs, and the pool in the middle. While he was thinking, Lu Kuan's perception came to the center of the space. The pool in the middle of the 5 internal organs islands was a little strange. It was mixed with 3 colors: gold, silver, and black. The pool was mainly divided into 5 areas. The largest area was gold and silver, and took up about 70% of the area. The water droplets in it were also a little strange. They were some kind of rune-shaped water ball that rolled freely in it. Other than that, the most eye-catching thing was the whirlpool. It was filled with water droplets made of strange runes. They were black and gold in color. Under the stirring of a dense black gas, ripples were vibrating around the 5 internal organs islands. The will of the true devil. Lu Kuan sensed the brutal will in the black gas and suddenly understood. This whirlpool is the way to release the demonic ape transformation. He could not help but sense carefully, especially the rune-shaped water droplets inside. He found that these water droplets were in the shape of a hyperboloid. They looked like some kind of strange text, but also like some kind of mysterious incantation. These 3-dimensional runes were made of tiny particles. These particles were in the shape of long strips and seemed to be shrunken muscle fibers. They gave off an aura that Lu Kuan was very familiar with, and between these particles there was a frenzied will flowing. This is the origin of the bloodline and the will of frenzy. Lu Kuan was shocked. The origin of the bloodline is the foundation of these 3-dimensional runes, and the will of frenzy is their link, forming this strange shape. These bloodline rune water droplets intertwined with each other. Under the stirring of the will of the true devil, this demonic ape transformation's divine ability whirlpool was created. Lu Kuan looked at the other 3 areas of the pool. Although the water surface was calm, the water droplets inside were still in the shape of strange runes. It was just that the structure was different. He suddenly saw the light. I understand. This body of water is the manifestation of the depths of the bloodline. The water droplets inside are made up of the origin of the bloodline and the will of frenzy. Each area here represents a kind of bloodline divine ability. Traditional immortal cultivators have Dantian meridians. Body cultivators have always used the flesh as meridians to circulate energy. Now what is manifested, is it a kind of existence similar to Dantian? In the process of Lu Kuan's absent-mindedness, his divine sense spun again. From the state just now, the small ball of true devils will dissipated, and his internal organs returned to their original state. He opened his eyes and sat on the ground in a daze. When Lu Kuan first entered the immortal cultivation world, he practiced traditional cultivation method. Naturally, he knew that the Dantian was the manifestation of the body of an immortal cultivator. It was a core space to store energy. Could it be that because the refining of the body involved the mystery of the bloodline, it manifested an existence similar to the Dantian of an immortal cultivator? Internal organs and Dantian? Lu Kuan thought of the difficult way it was formed, and his face couldn't help but twitch. First, let the Yunyuan force explode in the internal organs and blood essence. Using the blood essence as a buffer and suppression, it formed an invisible force that collapsed inwards, condensing the internal organs. Then, it relied on the central nervous system to sense the internal organs and Dantian. If it was a few years ago, when the Yunyuan force exploded, his internal organs would have collapsed. But it was different now. After encountering the powerful mental shock wave in the Great Whirlpool, the strength of Lu Kuan's internal organs increased greatly. After entering the broken country, the power of the primordial spirit of the 6 divine transformation stage cultivators was extinguished together with the dark spirit crystal. The refining effect was even stronger than the time in the Great Whirlpool. Coupled with the protection of the Snow Soul Saber, his internal organs were barely able to stabilize under the collapsing force of the Yunyuan force, forming this strange oval Dantian. My Uniyuan force is produced by relying on the bloodline ability. My internal organs and dantian can only appear for a short period of time. If I want it to exist stably, I'm afraid I have to reach the refinement stage and stabilize my physical body at the Uniyuan force stage. He took a deep breath and activated the devil-ape transformation again, repeatedly sensing this strange internal dantian. The internal organs form the membrane outside the dantian, which seems to be able to resist the collapsing force. The silver ocean inside is all the blood essence in the body. The water area surrounded by the 5 internal organs islands can be called the pool of blood. The whirlpool that represents the devil-ape transformation is constantly producing a kind of ripple that goes through the internal organs islands to the blood essence ocean outside. Then, it flows through the entire body, allowing the physical body to produce this terrifying power. This should be the principle of the bloodline ability, and the strange rune structure of the water droplets in the whirlpool is the essence of this ability. Different abilities have different rune water droplet. Lu Kuan looked at the other 4 areas other than the whirlpool. 3 of them were extremely calm. Only the water surface that took up 70% of the area would occasionally emit slight ripples. It seemed like it did not need to form a whirlpool to be able to emit the power of the ability through the internal organs. A bloodline ability that does not need to be actively used. Could this pool of blood represent the strength talent of the giant long-armed ape? A bloodline ability that affects the foundation of the physical body's strength? Lu Kuan suppressed his excitement and looked at the other 3 calm water areas. With a thought, he tried to activate the heaven-piercing roar. However, the water surface closest to the devil-ape transformation began to tremble slightly. The heaven-piercing roar's pool of blood. Lu Kuan understood and sensed the remaining 2. He discovered that one of the golden pools was emitting a faint ripple that was spreading towards the liver island. He pondered for a moment and activated the divine golden eye attack ability. However, this pool also began to tremble. The divine golden eye bloodline pool. Strange. In addition to the devil-ape transformation, heaven-piercing roar, and the strength talent of the giant long-armed ape, there are a total of 4 bloodline abilities. Why are there 5 bloodline pools here? Wait, could it be? Lu Kuan seemed to have thought of something. He secretly condensed a bloodline ability that he had not used since entering the middle stage of bone transformation. Then, he discovered that the pool was gently trembling, but there were no ripples surging out. This is the long-lost giant long-armed ape transformation ability? Chapter 1277. Lu Kuan sensed the bloodline pool of the giant psychic arm, and realized that although there were ripples spreading out, the ripples disappeared after hitting the internal organs island. Could it be that this ability has never disappeared, but it's not effective on my physical body? According to his observation, whether it was the passive strength talent or the demonic ape transformation ability, there were ripples that passed through the internal organs island and spread out to the blood essence sea outside. This meant that the power of the ability spread through the blood to the whole body and had an effect. The runic water droplets are pure gold. The bloodline origin of this ability is a pure long-armed ape monkey. Lu Kuan seemed to have thought of something and sensed the area beside him. The bloodline pool that represented the strength talent was gold and silver. Half of it was gold and silver runic water droplets that had a hyperboloid structure. For some reason, Lu Kuan felt that it was a little like someone's posture of raising both hands to the sky. There was an inexplicable sense of intimidation. As for the remaining half, they were silver human bloodline origin particles that floated disorderly in the strength talent area. This strange strength rune is the fusion of the bloodline origin of the human race and the long-armed ape monkey. Strange, why is there still half of the human origin left? Could it be that my bloodline power has surpassed the long-armed ape monkeys? He sensed the bloodline pool of the giant psychic arm and realized that the runic structure was very similar to the strength rune. There were only two differences. One was that it was pure gold in color, and the other was that the upper half of the hyperboloid was thicker, like the arm of the long-armed ape monkey. After realizing this, Lu Kuan could not help but recall the giant golden ape. He also thought of the long-armed ape monkey mural he saw in the cave of the mountain black ape clan. The two arms had always maintained a giant state. The giant arms are the normal state of the long-armed ape monkey's body. In other words, the giant psychic arm is a passive ability that does not need to be activated to exist for a long time. If it has a bloodline pool in its body, the strength talent and the giant psychic arm pool should be fused together. The two are its unique talents that far exceed the strength of other demons. Lu Kuan sensed the silver origin particles in his power talent pool, and his thoughts became clearer. I'm a pure human, a different race from it. Our bloodlines are incompatible. Because apes and humans are somewhat similar, a portion of our bloodlines can be compatible. This formed the gold and silver energy pool. As for the bloodline pool of the psychic giant arm, it's the part where this ability is incompatible with the human bloodline. His mind was filled with thoughts, and he didn't even notice when he had left the Dantian state. From the muscle refining stage to the early bone transformation stage, I have always been able to use essence blood to activate the giant psychic arm. It is because it is of the same origin as the power talent and has a similar bloodline rune structure. Lu Kuan was getting more and more excited. The cultivation process of a body cultivator is equivalent to the body constantly evolving. Once you reach the middle stage of bone transformation, your blood and muscles can transform into each other. With this supernatural ability, your entire body's muscles can constantly expand with the support of your blood. It's equivalent to covering part of the special characteristics of the arm divine ability, causing the divine ability to lose its effectiveness. Lu Kuan looked at his own body again and muttered to himself, "I'm sorry. The current transcendence heaven and earth relies on the silver dragon meteorite in the bones to perform. If I reach the late stage of bone transformation and achieve blood condensation, my entire body's bones can freely expand and cover the characteristics of the devil ape transformation. This divine ability will also lose its effectiveness. But my eyes and throat have not undergone any new transformation. The divine golden eyes and sky-piercing roar should still be there. Right, the other divine abilities require the power of will to activate." Thinking of this, he called out a ball of true demon water, activated the divine ability, and re-entered his internal organs and Dantian. He continued to explore the other three areas of the bloodline pool. Although the divine golden eyes pool water looks golden, there is a very small amount of silver light shining in the rune structure. This means that a small part of the divine golden eyes has been integrated with the human bloodline, so it has been subtly influencing the eyes. However, the integrated human bloodline origin is very small, so it still needs the power of will to activate it. The sky-piercing roar and the devil ape transformation pool are both gold and black runes. There is not the slightest silver light in it. It has nothing to do with the human bloodline. Lu Kuan carefully sensed and found that the bloodline rune structure of the sky-piercing roar was a little strange. It was still a hyperboloid structure, but there were a few black origin particles stuck on it. These particles exuded a pure demon aura. If these black origin particles were combined, they would look similar to the runes in the devil ape transformation vortex. The demon bloodline origin? I understand. The transformation of the demon race is the root of the bloodline mutation of the long-armed ape monkey, forming two new rune structures. When not activated, the demon origin particles are not condensed and have no effect on the ape's body. So the long-armed ape I saw was in the state of golden hair. But if it absorbs the will of the true demon, these black origin particles will connect with each other and activate the divine ability. Lu Kuan perceived the bloodline pool that was mixed with 3 colors, and his heart was a little dignified. The silver human bloodline, the golden long-armed ape-monkey bloodline, and the black demon bloodline origin. It is also divided into 5 areas. My bloodline pool is too mixed. If the spiritual power of a cultivator is not pure enough, the risk of a breakthrough is great, and the bloodline should be the same. Although the magical powers here have brought me a strong combat power, this mixed bloodline will definitely have an impact on the future. He pondered while perceiving the bloodline pool. Suddenly, he thought of something and exclaimed in his heart. Right, where is the origin of the true dragon's blood? Why is it gone? He remembered that the true dragon's bloodline origin was dark gold, and it was not here at all. Gradually, Lu Kuan thought of a possibility. Staring at the bloodline pool of Tong Tian Roar and Devil Ape transformation, he murmured in his heart, that true dragon was also transformed by the demon. There must be the origin particles of the demon bloodline in it. Could it be that after the prideful will was removed, the scattered true dragon and demon origin automatically integrated into the bloodline pool of Tong Tian Roar and Devil Ape transformation? He thought of the long-armed ape monkey's blood essence that he had absorbed before, and he had to replenish the frenzy, and he could not help but think about it. The newly absorbed long-armed ape monkey's blood essence contains the 4 major bloodline magical powers: Giant Psychic Arm, Devil Ape Transformation, Tong Tian Roar, and Golden Light Divine Eyes. After they are integrated into the bloodline pool and merged with the human bloodline, the Giant Psychic Arm magical power will be split into 2. Could it be that part of it combined with the human origin to form a new power rune, and I need to replenish the frenzy? But the power rune increased. Why didn't the physical strength increase? Is the transformation of the power rune too little, or it did not change the proportion of the bloodline pool's area? Then if I dismantle the runes in the other areas, with this thought in mind, above the internal dantian, a milky white silk suddenly fell. Lu Kuan felt that his perception and the internal island merged together. This is the central nervous system? Lu Kuan sensed in a daze, and subconsciously urged something according to his thoughts. He saw that the area that represented the giant psychic arm was boiling. The golden runes inside seemed to be guided by something, and rushed to the internal island next to it, forming a golden pattern on the island. The next moment, the true demonic will was exhausted, and the internal dantian disappeared. Lu Kuan was still in a daze, but when he looked inside his body, he suddenly found that the surface of his internal organs also had golden runes appearing. He was stunned at first, and then he showed a look of surprise. In the internal dantian, I can also use the bloodline division magical power. Why don't I dismantle the golden runes of the giant psychic arm and see if they can merge into the power talent pool? Although Lu Kuan had just come into contact with the strange bloodline runes, he knew that as long as he separated the frenzy will, the golden runes would automatically dismantle. Several days later, as he dismantled his bloodline, the golden runes on his internal organs all disappeared. Feeling the new power in his body, Lu Kuan's expression was surprised and happy. 50,000 kilograms, my strength suddenly increased by 50,000 kilograms. What happened in the bloodline pool? He hurriedly urged the power of 1 yuan, revealing the internal dantian, and sensed inside. The bloodline pool in the middle was missing an area at some point. The bloodline pool of the giant psychic arm had disappeared, and only 4 areas were left. The power talent pool had expanded, occupying 75% of the area. The number of power runes inside had increased, and the scattered silver bloodline origin particles had decreased by a lot. I understand. The basic increase in physical strength is the proportion of the power talent pool's area. Dismantling the bloodline runes of other magical powers can be merged into the power talent pool. 1,300,000 kilograms of strength. With this foundation, when I break through to the late stage of bone transformation, my strength will increase by 50%, reaching 1,950,000 kilograms. 500,000 kilograms was the threshold of physical strength origin. 1 million kilograms could activate the chi of heaven and earth, and 2 million kilograms could control the chi of heaven and earth. What if there was a power stronger than 1 yuan? He could fight above his level, and even fight with pseudo-divine transformation realm expert. All of this was related to strength. Thinking of the scene where he was suppressed by 6 pseudo-divine transformation realm experts not long ago, Lu Kuan's heart surged with ruthlessness. No, this strength is not enough. The future growth of my realm is unknown. Only strength is the foundation of everything. Power runes all condense into power runes. He roared in his heart. What sky-piercing roar! What devil-ape transformation! What golden light divine eyes! Get lost. I only want power, power! More power! Roar! Accompanied by his crazy roar, all the other areas in his internal dantian, except for the power talent pool, were fragmented. Even the whirlpool of the devil-ape transformation exploded with a loud bang. Lu Kuan's eyes were tightly closed as he leaned against the wall. Pure gold and black rune spots appeared on the surface of his skin and internal organs. His blood and chi, as vast as an ocean, and traces of madness were rolling inside his body. Chapter 1278. In the depths of the ancient battlefield, on a slope outside the Silver Fog Valley, 7 demons stood beside several space cracks, surrounded by dense space power and demonic chi. You mean Yilan was swallowed by a space crack? The one who spoke was a slightly short male demon. There were light black bone spurs on the joints of his body, and his whole body exuded nascent soul-level fluctuations. His breath was somewhat unstable, as if he had just broken through. Lord Yining, 3 months ago, Yilan and I were using a secret technique to try to control an 8th-level single-horned demon bull. Who knew that under the surge of demonic power, the nearby space crack suddenly changed, and a dense space power gushed out and swept her in. If I wasn't so far away, I'm afraid, the scale between Yining's eyebrows wrinkled, and he couldn't help but recall the scene of Haifeng being swept away by the space power when he was breaking through to the demon general realm. It happened exactly 3 months ago. It seems that the hidden restrictions set up by the Yuan sect triggered the space turbulence. Damn it, if Haifeng was still here, we would have 2 demon generals, and we would have a better chance. The 6 demons around him listened to Yining's complaints, but they didn't dare to make a sound. The internal hierarchy of the demon race was very strict. Although there was only a difference of 1 level between a 7th-level demon soldier and an 8th-level demon general, the difference in status between them was like heaven and earth. Yining was silent for a while and said in a deep voice, "There's still half a month before the cultivators from the outside come in. We have to hurry up and set up the formation. Release the demonic beasts you captured." Yes. Several demons' bracelets flashed, and 8 or 9 demonic beasts with strange physiques appeared on the ground. There was a black-armored demon bull with a horn, a tiger-shaped demon beast with bone spurs all over its body, and a demon bird with 2 heads. These demonic beasts actually exuded the aura of 8th level and above. The demon tiger with bone spurs even exuded the aura of 9th level, which was equivalent to the middle nascent soul stage. It was unknown how it was captured by the demons with core formation cultivation. Seeing this, Yining's tense expression relaxed a lot. Very good, the number of demonic beasts exceeded our expectations. Use the weakest 5 as a sacrifice, and it'll be enough to communicate with the holy world. Yes. Then, they took out materials that exuded a strong demonic aura and added their own blood to set them up on the ground. Gradually, a strange magic array was placed on the slope. There were 5 pits around it, in which unconscious level 8 magical beasts were placed. The dark purple blood trough was connected to the magic array in the middle. The demonic patterns in the magic formation were extremely strange. They did not look like the runes of immortal cultivators. Instead, they seemed to be some kind of special totem or hieroglyph. There were curved blood grooves in the middle of the magic formation. When Yi Ning saw that the array was completed, he took a deep breath. His eyes flashed with a hint of fanaticism. He walked to the center of the array and sat down cross-legged. Begin the sacrificial array. Several demon soldiers were standing around. Hearing this, the demon power in their bodies surged. Demon light surged in their hands as they struck rune seals at the demon beasts. In the depths of these demonic beasts' bodies, waves of brutality surged out, resonating with the demonic runes and producing a special energy. Then, the bodies of the 5 huge demonic beasts gradually softened, turning into purplish-black blood. They flowed into the magic formation in the middle, filling up the blood grooves in the magic formation. At this moment, Yi Ning raised his hands. The bone spurs on them flashed with black light. He inserted them into the center of the magic formation and injected a special energy that was different from demon power. The totem runes in the magic formation all lit up. Waves of strange fluctuations spread out. From the surrounding spatial cracks, a large amount of dark blue spatial energy surged out. They mixed with pure demon chi and shrouded the entire magic formation in a dark purple fog. In the next moment, an extremely terrifying and brutal aura, with the majesty of a king, spread out. When the surrounding demon soldiers felt this aura, they all fell to the ground with a plop. Their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Gradually, the dark purple fog dissipated. The distorted air calmed down, revealing the figure inside. At this moment, there were some changes to Yi Ning. His short body became much taller. The bone spurs seemed to have been stimulated by something and became thicker and longer. His pupils turned dark purple. Although his demon power was still at the nascent soul early stage, his body was filled with an extremely brutal aura. Streaks of black light gathered around him, and an astonishing pressure spread out in all directions. "Welcome, Lord Demon King! Welcome, Lord Demon King!" When the surrounding demon soldiers felt this aura, their prostrating bodies trembled uncontrollably. One by one, they spoke respectfully, their voices filled with awe and excitement. Yi Ning looked around and snorted coldly. What a bunch of trash! Over 100 demon soldiers, and only one person broke through to Demon General. What a waste of resources! When the 6 demon soldiers heard this, they didn't dare to make a sound. Their bodies trembled even more violently. There's still half a month. There's barely enough time. Follow this king to set up the nightmare formation. Yes, Lord. Northeast of the Broken Nation, in the Arctic Mountains, Fairy Beihan stood quietly at the entrance of an ice cave. At her feet was a cheetah covered in blue and black scales. This demon beast had no wounds on its body, but it had lost all signs of life. Lu Jinyuan squatted beside it and carefully examined the cheetah. The twin sisters were inside the ice cave, collecting materials inside. The space crack in the Arctic mountains was very special. Pure demon chi flowed out from the bottom of the mountain, and rich spirit chi at the top. Together with the extremely cold temperature, many ice element materials were nurtured here. Fairy Beihan entered the inner space 600 years ago. Although the array master who accompanied her was outside the mountain, he had been studying how to break the array. This meant that the resources of the Arctic mountains had been stored for 1,100 years. In addition to some special herbs and materials, many demon beasts had also cultivated to a very high level. Grandmaster, this should be a level 9 snow crystal leopard, but for some reason, the demon core in its body has mutated and its mind is a bit chaotic. Fairy Beihan said lightly. It has been tainted by demon chi. It has reached level 9, but it still hasn't transformed. Even its bloodline memory has been lost. It can no longer be considered a creature of the immortal realm. Hearing this, Lu Jinyuan heaved a sigh and said, "Ever since the battle with the demons, the immortal realm has been weakening. According to the records of our sect, no immortal cultivator has entered the upper worlds for 70,000 years. After 3 months, Fairy Beihan's injuries had healed a lot. She could walk again, but her meridians hadn't fully recovered. She took a few steps forward and looked at the dark purple demonic fog below the cliff. She slowly said, "The soul formation stage of a cultivator relies too much on vital energy. With mixed spiritual vital energy, it is impossible to advance to the soul formation stage." At this point, she narrowed her eyes and said, "This makes Lu Kuan even more terrifying. Not only does he possess the Yuan spirit of an orthodox divine transformation stage cultivator, but he can even draw upon the devil Yuan Qi. I wonder how he did it." Lu Jinyuan put away the body of the demon leopard on the ground and looked at Fairy Beihan carefully. "Grandmaster, are you still thinking about the cultivation art of the body refining pavilion?" Fairy Beihan shook her head and said, "I'm no match for Lu Kuan, so it's useless to think about it. But according to the style of the great Zhou dynasty, they won't be willing to give up this cultivation art. When the body refining pavilion appeared 100 years ago, those old monsters didn't do anything because of the threat of the Demon King. But when the Broken Kingdom is over, things will be different." Lu Jinyuan asked curiously, "Grandmaster, do you mean the soul formation cultivators of the great Zhou dynasty will attack the body refining pavilion? But their divine powers aren't as powerful as yours. How can they be a match for Master Lu?" Fairy Beihan snorted and said, "The power of a soul formation cultivator is indeed powerful, but 3 pseudo-soul formation cultivators are enough to fight against him. According to your information, the great Zhou dynasty has at least 5 pseudo-soul formation cultivators. Unless the body refining pavilion has a second soul formation cultivator, they will have to. What's going on?" Then, the North Pole mountain under their feet suddenly shook violently. A lot of snow fell and the entire mountain range was filled with rumbling sounds. Earthquake? No, it's the essence Qi of heaven and earth. Fairy Beihan looked up. The spirit Qi in the sky was like a giant wave in the sea. Countless white light balls came out and the terrifying essence Qi spread down. Together with the rumbling sounds, it seemed that the world was collapsing. Lu Jinyuan and the twin sisters immediately gathered together. They took out their Dharma treasures, but because their dermic powers were suppressed by the primordial Qi, the protective shields around their bodies flickered. They could not help but look at their grandmaster for help. Fairy Beihan looked at the essence Qi light balls around her and found that they were like snowflakes, hitting the rocks of the North Pole and trying to merge with it. There seems to be a terrifying energy inside the North Pole mountain. It even went through the seal and attracted the essence Qi of heaven and earth outside the mountain. Is Lu Kuan cracking the seal of the cave abode? Is the power of a soul formation cultivator that terrifying? No. Fairy Beihan's face turned pale. She suddenly felt that the essence Qi inside her body was shaking. The cold energy inside seemed to be out of control, fluctuating, and her true essence was surging. Lu Jinyuan and the other 2 were directly knocked into the ice cave by the explosive true essence, and the Dharma power shield around their bodies collapsed. "Grandmaster! Stop, Grandmaster!" Lu Jinyuan kept yelling with his Dharma power, and then found that something was wrong with Fairy Beihan. He gritted his teeth and a blue crystal ball appeared in his hand. A ball of blue light immediately surrounded the 3 of them and turned them into extremely hard ice. But even so, under the pressure of the berserk true essence and the surrounding Yuan Qi, cracks quickly began to appear on the ice. Fairy Beihan didn't seem to hear her disciple. She tried to suppress the essence Qi in her body. Her face turned pale and her eyes were filled with disbelief. "What's going on? Hasn't my essence Qi inside the North Pole mountain been refined by my essence Qi? Why is it disintegrating? The essence Qi can be separated again." That Lu Kuan, what is he doing? Chapter 1279. Inside the North Pole Mountain, an invisible force was surging inside. The strong wind hit the walls and made a rumbling sound. Several nearby broken dragon stone houses were shaking violently. Cracks kept appearing on the hard gray stone walls. However, these invisible forces were only rolling in a range of 300 feet on the left side of the cave. In the depths of this area, Lu Kuan's face was full of pain. His burly figure was crawling on the ground. His 10 fingers were digging into the hard rock as if he was grabbing tofu, creating holes. At the same time, his flesh and bones were constantly twisting. Sometimes the spine was squeezed out of the muscles on his back, and sometimes bone spurs grew out of his joint. His figure was also changing with the bones in his body. Every time the bones changed, there was an invisible force surging out from the bones. It was like an invisible air knife, bombarding in all directions. More than 400 feet away, beside the colorful jade house at the other end of the cave, Hong Yuntian crossed his arms over his chest. An unyielding stubbornness surrounded his body. It was sometimes strong and sometimes weak, as if he could not control it at will. He looked at the body in the distance that was constantly distorting. His dark eyes flashed with anticipation. After an unknown period of time, the chaotic air knife suddenly disappeared. Lu Kuan's body stopped twisting. Those distorted bones suddenly turned into a silver blood mist and poured into his body. Then, a terrifying power of qi and blood surged into the sky like an ocean. Circles of invisible force surged out in all directions with his body as the center. Rumble, along with the violent explosion, all the broken dragon stone houses within a range of 300 feet were turned into fine powder in an instant. Terrifying waves of air rolled out in all directions. Seeing this, Hong Yuntian's face changed. He did not take this air wave head-on. Instead, his figure flashed and he hid behind the colorful jade house. Boom! The colorful restriction of the divine conversion restriction flashed wildly. After being hit by this amazing air wave, the restriction that could resist the attack of a divine conversion realm cultivator actually collapsed by a small half. The residual air wave of the power of the void has such power? Hong Yuntian looked at Lu Kuan, who was still crawling on the ground in the distance. He was shocked. Did this guy succeed? After breaking through to the late stage of bone transformation, you can directly control 1 yuan power? Wait, the surrounding heaven and earth yuan qi. At this time, he suddenly found that the spirit qi in the cave began to roll violently. A white halo ball appeared out of thin air, and a terrifying primordial qi pressure filled the cave. As the surrounding yuan qi manifested, the cave abode beneath Hong Yuntian's feet also began to shake, emitting a deafening sound as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. This is due to the impact of the heaven-earth yuan qi outside. All the yuan qi in the North Pole mountain space has been stirred? Hong Yuntian looked up and saw a large number of white halo balls squeeze in from the ceiling of the cave abode. The heaven and earth yuan qi was endless, as if there was no end to it. However, they did not enter Lu Kuan's body. Instead, they circled around him, forming a dense yuan qi whirlwind. As the pressure in the cave became more and more terrifying, Hong Yuntian was gradually squeezed to the farthest edge of the wall. His body had no choice but to turn into a devil zombie. Looking at the amazing scene, he showed an incredulous expression and murmured, "Essence qi filling the body, divine essence fusion. This is the phenomenon of essence soul refinement. A physique cultivator doesn't have a nascent soul. Is this the fusion of will and internal organs? Wait, why is the spirit essence qi circling around him instead of entering his body?" While he was puzzled, the essence qi whirlwind suddenly vibrated as if it was being squeezed out by some kind of force. Hong Yuntian was enlightened. "I know. This is the place where Beihan Fairy reached the pseudo-soul formation level. The essence qi of heaven and earth has been refined by her will. Only by purifying the will she be able to refine her essence soul. The full nascent soul force is indeed powerful. Even the essence chi refined by a pseudo-soul formation level cultivator can be. Why did the mountain stop shaking? At this time, the Yuan Qi whirlwind that was wrapping around Lu Kuan suddenly trembled. It seemed as if it had lost some kind of support. It suddenly collapsed and turned into a dense sea of spirit energy. It was misty and white like a fairyland. What is going on? Did the breakthrough fail? Hong Yuntian looked at the scene blankly. Suddenly, an excited voice came up. Ha ha, I get it now. This is the way to break through to the soul formation level. It was unknown when Lu Kuan had stood up. He looked at his own body and his face was filled with excitement. When Hong Yuntian heard this, he was completely at a loss. Why did it sound like a successful breakthrough? He could not help but ask, Lu Kuan, what happened just now? Was that Yuan Qi phenomenon caused by you smelting your primordial spirit? Lu Kuan looked up and seemed to have sensed something. He asked in surprise, Brother Hong, have you learned the power of will? Hong Yuntian waved a hand and said hurriedly, I have lived for so many years and I have the help of the reincarnation grand array. Of course I can succeed. But did you fail or succeed? Lu Kuan flashed and came to Hong Yuntian. He laughed and said, Fortunately, I didn't succeed. Otherwise, Lu would have suffered a great loss. Hong Yuntian was confused. He didn't know what Chen Fan meant. Lu Kuan calmed himself down and recalled the discovery he made during his breakthrough. He slowly said, Brother Hong, the full elemental power only allows the physical body to reach the soul formation stage. If you want to truly enter this stage, you still can't do without the power of will. You should have noticed that I only activated my spiritual yuan just now. Hong Yuntian paused and said, The power of will? Spirit essence chi? I get it now. You used the frenzy will, and wanted to break through with the frenzy demon will. So, you stopped it? Lu Kuan nodded and said, Speaking of which, I have to thank that Beihan fairy. Thanks to her will, the essence chi of heaven and earth here conflicted with the chaotic energy. That's why I was able to break free. In other places, once the essence chi of heaven and earth enters the body, it can't be stopped. Then, the frenzy demon will we studied would have been wasted. Speaking up to this point, he seemed to have thought of something and said excitedly, Brother Hong, do you know, according to my discovery, if I make a breakthrough with the frenzy devil will, it's very likely that I'll have an extra bloodline ability that belongs to me. No, it should be said that it's a bloodline ability that belongs to the human race. Hearing this, Hong Yuntian couldn't help but reveal a curious expression. What exactly did you discover, and what realm is your current physical body at? If it's the level of my body, I have to give it a try. Lu Kuan couldn't wait to reach out his hand. A terrifying wave of energy spread out. In the void 300 feet away, a large amount of essence chi appeared. It quickly gathered and turned into a 5 feet blurry palm. That's strange. Lu Kuan raised his eyebrows and the veins on his arm bulged. He clenched his fist, and the blurry palm of light suddenly clenched into a fist. It became incomparably solid and mysterious runes flashed on it. Those runes were a special kind of hyperboloid structure. They intertwined and twisted with each other, giving off an inexplicable sense of oppression. Boom! As Lu Kuan swung his fist, the white Yuan Qi fist hammered the ground. A terrifying wave of Yuan Qi rolled out, and the entire cave dwelling's ground and rocks were instantly smashed to pieces, revealing the silver restriction below. Outside the Jade House, the divine prohibition spirit light that could resist the attack of a soul formation cultivator also collapsed. Hong Yuntian hid behind Lu Kuan and felt the overwhelming power of the essence chi. He was excited. The full nascent soul power, condensing essence chi in the void. He has indeed reached the soul formation level. But then he noticed that the veins on Lu Kuan's arms were bulging. He was confused. What's wrong? Is it difficult to use the full nascent soul power? Lu Kuan's arm muscles relaxed. He sensed the situation in his body and said thoughtfully, Brother Hong, do you remember that the power of 1 yuan of our body fusion can only be unleashed with the help of the dark spirit crystal? Hong Yuntian immediately understood. His expression changed slightly. You mean, you don't have enough control over your nerves and can't use the full nascent soul power? Lu Kuan nodded and said, That's right. Such a terrifying power requires a high level of control over the nerve. Fortunately, I have been cultivating the central nervous system for the past few years. Plus what I have gained in the past few months, I can barely control the full nascent soul power. He calculated in his mind. I just tried it. I can't control the power accurately and my nerves are too tense. If I use the full nascent soul power for too long, my nerves will be exhausted. Hong Yuntian frowned and said, So, you're equivalent to a body-tempering pseudo-soul formation cultivator. Lu Kuan said proudly, That's right, but so what? I can freely use the full nascent soul power, a passive origin energy field of 5 feet, and a void essence condensation range of 300 feet. I'm not afraid of even a real soul formation stage cultivator. Hong Yuntian looked at the confident Lu Kuan and let go of the worry in his heart. With such a power, those pseudo-soul formation cultivators of the great Zhou dynasty were nothing to be afraid of. After he relaxed, he asked curiously, What have you found in the past few months? You went from the peak of the mid-stage of the bone transformation cultivator to a body-tempering pseudo-soul formation cultivator. Haha, it's a long story. In the beginning, outside the North Pole Mountain, Fairy Beihan staggered and almost fell to the ground. She sensed that her primordial spirit had completely calmed down and her eyes were full of shock and fear. Is this the divine power of an orthodox soul formation cultivator? It can separate the essence chi and will of a pseudo-soul formation cultivator. He seemed to have stopped the divine power. If he continued, my primordial spirit would have collapsed by at least half. Even if I could keep my level, my power would be greatly reduced. Thinking of this, she suddenly realized something and her face turned pale. Damn it. Lu Kuan is threatening me. He wants me to reopen the space inside the North Pole Mountain. If I don't do that, he will definitely injure me. Then, the 3 people in the ice cave slowly walked out. The twin sisters were still in shock. Lu Jinyuan tried his best to stay calm. He looked at the Beihan fairy and asked carefully, Ancestral Master, what happened? Fairy Beihan didn't answer the question. She took a deep breath and said, Let's go back to the entrance of the space inside. Lu Jinyuan and the twins looked at each other, not knowing what had happened. Chapter 1280. In other words, you condensed all your bloodline origin into that strange power rune, causing your strength to soar? Hong Yuntian listened to Lu Kuan's description of the internal organs and Dantian with a look of surprise on his face. Lu Kuan said with some lingering fear, Now that I think about it, the risk was not small. At that time, my soul entered the internal Dantian and seemed to be affected by the frenzy, so I recklessly destroyed the other magical runes in the bloodline pool. After the will of the other magical runes were extracted, they were directly broken down. Then the frenzy and bloodline origin poured into the internal organs, and my strength directly soared to 1.6 million jin. 1.6 million jin. Hong Yuntian murmured, putting aside the bloodline factor. An ordinary body cultivator in the middle stage of bone transformation has a strength of 800,000 jin. In other words, this strange bloodline power rune doubled the strength of the original? Lu Kuan said with incomparable emotion, Yes, after all the bloodline origin of the human race is integrated into this rune, it can double the original strength foundation. After the strength increase, I immediately broke through the bottleneck. With the incomparably vigorous blood concentration, I broke through the blood-bone boundary and successfully entered the late stage of bone transformation. He could feel the trembling nerves in his body. He paused for a moment and said, "When a body cultivator breaks through a small realm, their strength will increase by 50%. My physical strength should have reached 2,400,000 gene. However, due to the lack of nerves in my body, I can only exert 1 yuan power." Hong Yuntian seemed to understand something. The nerves of the body can't keep up. It seems that the body cultivator's divine sense cultivation is completely different from the traditional immortal cultivator. It must be combined with the nervous system. Before the bone treasure stage, the body cultivator's divine sense is cultivated through the peripheral nervous system. At the bone treasure stage, it involves the central nervous system, starting from the spinal cord. When the spinal cord is cultivated to the large success stage, not only does the divine sense reach the nascent soul stage, but it can also be integrated into the spinal cord, and with the nervous system of the whole body, the body's reaction speed and perception greatly increase. After the bone transformation stage, we discovered the cranial nerve method, which transfers the brain to the 5 viscera and 6 bowels to assist the cultivation of the life force. If we reach the Deshang stage, the divine sense can be completely integrated with the nervous system, and the control of the body will be further enhanced. Lu Kuan sighed, "That's right. After I entered the late bone transformation, my spiritual sense reached the peak of the great cultivator realm." In addition to the accidental activation of my internal organs and dantian, my cultivation of the cranial nerves took a great step forward. But my divine soul still can't completely fuse with my body. If this is the case, then the peak state of the late stage of bone transformation is the great accomplishment of the cranial nerves. If I can achieve this, then the power of a yuan shouldn't be as difficult as it is now. Hong Yuntian earnestly said, "It looks like I'll have to add the nervous system to the devil transformation realm's cultivation method." Then he said, "By the way, after you broke through to the late stage of bone change, why did you immediately activate the chi of heaven and earth and directly enter the breakthrough state of soul formation? The phenomenon at that time seemed to be no different from the refinement of one's soul." Lu Kuan recalled the scene at that time and said, "After I broke down the other bloodline supernatural powers, my internal organs and dantian couldn't manifest. I didn't know the situation of the bloodline pool. So, after my strength reached the power of a yuan, I couldn't wait to try to manifest my internal organs and dantian. I wanted to confirm whether all the bloodline sources in the bloodline pool had been transformed into power runes. So, I simulated the way the power of a yuan exploded in my internal organs and activated my internal organs and dantian again." Speaking of this, his expression became strange. "When I found that the bloodline pool had all turned into gold and silver power runes, my divine soul went into it to carefully investigate. The bloodline pool seemed to have been stimulated by something and began to rotate. There was an endless suction force that directly sucked in all my divine soul." Lu Kuan murmured, "Then, my divine soul seemed to have merged with all the bloodline power runes. Not only could I clearly sense the frenzy and the distribution of the bloodline source, but I could also sense the chi of heaven and earth in the surrounding vast space. At this time, the power of a yuan also entered the bloodline vortex, forming a terrifying suction force. If it wasn't for the conflict between the frenzy and the cold chi outside, I'm afraid the chi of heaven and earth would have rushed into the power runes." When Hong Yuntian heard this, he pondered and said, "The crystallization of a pseudo-core cultivator's mana will spontaneously condense into a core. A pseudo-nascent soul cultivator who comprehended the power of the nascent soul will also have the impulse to break through the core. You directly entered the breakthrough state, which means that your body has reached the threshold of soul formation in all aspects." He analyzed the bloodline power runes, the frenzy, the divine soul of a peak great cultivator, and the physical strength of more than 1 million kilograms. These conditions together triggered the breakthrough of refining the soul. The absorption of the divine soul into the bloodline power runes should be the same as the fusion of a traditional soul formation cultivator and the nascent soul. But in your case, the final smelting should be the bloodline primordial spirit. As an elder of the Yuan school, Hong Yuntian knew a lot about the soul formation realm. Soon, he deduced the conditions for refining the soul from Lu Kuan's description. Brother Hong's judgment is the same as mine. It is the bloodline primordial spirit. Lu Kuan followed Hong Yuntian's analysis and said, the crystallization of the foundation establishment stage and the power of the nascent soul stage of the core formation stage are the magical powers of the next realm that genius cultivators have comprehended in advance. Just like my Yuan power, they can spontaneously enter the breakthrough state with a very high success rate. When ordinary cultivators try to break through to the core formation stage, their mana is still in the liquid state. When they try to break through to the nascent soul stage, the power of the nascent soul can only be generated after breaking the core. Inferring by analogy, a body cultivator at the peak of the late bone transformation stage can also break through the bottleneck of refining the soul without reaching the power of a Yuan. Speaking of this, Lu Kuan's expression gradually became excited. In other words, the power runes of the bloodline origin, the power of will, and the divine soul of a peak great cultivator are the necessary conditions for breaking through to refining the soul. With these, body cultivator disciples can try to break through. Hong Yuntian thought for a moment and said, the divine soul of a peak great cultivator is simple, but the internal organs and dantian require the power of a Yuan to manifest. How can ordinary body cultivators condense the bloodline power runes? Lu Kuan smiled slightly and said, previously, I used the central nervous system to spread the other bloodline power runes in the bloodline pool to the internal organs, and then transferred them to other parts of the body through the internal organs. Using the bloodline separation method, I broke down these power runes. Body cultivator disciples can do the opposite. I have already memorized the structure of the power runes. They just need to gather the bloodline origin and use the power of will as a link to fuse the power runes in the internal organs. As long as all the bloodline origin is condensed into this structure, their strength will double. A normal late-stage bone transformation strength of 1.2 million gene will directly soar to 2.4 million gene, reaching the level of a Yuan. Next, they can manifest the internal organs and dantian, stir up the bloodline pool vortex, draw the world's origin energy into the body, and refine the bloodline origin spirit. If I'm not wrong, after the divine soul fuses with the will in the bloodline, it will completely transform, and then combine with the nervous system. The physical body's control of strength will reach a new level, completely controlling the power of a Yuan, and thus entering the true realm of refining the soul. His expression was a bit excited as he said, manifest the internal organs and dantian, draw the origin energy into the body. The internal organs are the key parts of cultivation. This great realm of body cultivator is called the Zongyuan stage. Zongyuan stage, Hong Yuntian murmured. He analyzed Lu Kuan's deduction in his heart. He had to admit that this method of refining the soul was reasonable. Even an ordinary body cultivator had a chance to break through. He thought for a while and said, the strength rune has been solved. It seems like the Zongyuan stage is the same as the soul formation stage. The most difficult thing is to comprehend the power of will. Body cultivator seems to be even more difficult. Without mana, the consciousness and the body are closely connected. They can't be like immortal cultivators, who can use their nascent souls to travel the world and comprehend the will of all things. For soul formation, it's impossible to seal one's cultivation memories. The body is too strong, invincible in the mortal world. Using a special soul technique or the reincarnation arrays dream entry technique, there's a chance to comprehend extreme emotions and wills. As he said this, he suddenly thought of something and said with a surprised expression, "That's right, from your situation, the will in the bloodline like the frenzy can also be absorbed by body cultivators." Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes and said, "That's right, but the frenzy is inherited in the top demon bloodline. There's a great conflict between the bloodlines of different races. If it weren't for the fact that the ape's body structure is similar to that of the human race, and all kinds of opportunities, I wouldn't have been able to integrate the long-armed demon ape bloodline. The disciples of the spirit-transforming pavilion can try this path. If other disciples forcefully integrate the demon bloodline, there might be problems." As he said this, he paused and said meaningfully, "But if the human bloodline contains will, wouldn't it be easier for body cultivators to integrate it? The frenzy is the same as the other spirit-type wills. There's nothing special about it and it has no value of being inherited. But what if it's the frenzy demon will?" Lu Kuan's eyes gradually filled with a fanatical look. The demonic ape transformation is the product of a special bloodline rune formed by the combination of the long-armed demon ape bloodline and the demon bloodline. Then why can't I, Lu Kuan, use this as a reference and absorb the demon bloodline origin, condense a new strength rune, integrate the frenzy demon will, and create a bloodline explosion special ability unique to the human race? Moreover, this will and ability can be passed down through the bloodline essence. He said word by word, a bloodline inheritance exclusive to the human race. Hong Yuntian was shocked. Following Lu Kuan's description, a golden path seemed to open up in front of him. The path of the human race's body refinement seemed to be completely perfected. Not only that, in the future, any body cultivator who has comprehended willpower and successfully entered the Zongyuan stage will be able to inherit bloodline willpower. If they create brand new bloodline runes, they can even inherit special human magical abilities. Chapter 1281. Inside the cave, Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian were immersed in their imaginations of the future. The greatest use of the bloodline inheritance was to allow the refinement of the body to continue. The most important reason why the Five Spirits Temple had a spirit-severing cultivator in every generation was because of the inheritance of many wills. Moreover, the Five Spirits Temple occupied the west coast and was adjacent to the Five Dragon Sea. It was rich in resources and there were more than 5 great cultivators in every generation. In addition to the experience left behind by the predecessors, it was naturally easy for a spirit-severing cultivator to appear. If the body-refining pavilion had a bloodline will inheritance, they would also be able to achieve the Zongyuan stage without a gap. Moreover, with the Zongyuan stage body cultivator's magical abilities, the chances of passing through the reverse spirit channel, which only mid-deity stage cultivators could pass through, would be much higher than cultivators of the same stage. After a while, Lu Kuan gradually calmed down. His dark eyes flashed with the light of thinking. Although I lost all my powers, I had the power of one essence in the late stage of bone transformation and could manifest my internal organs and dantian. With this condition, I had the chance to try the berserk devil will. Just now, I caught a glimpse of it and the bloodline pool was bright silver. The bloodline origins of the long-armed ape monkey and the demon race were all cleansed. Fortunately, I remembered the bloodline rune of the devil ape transformation. The special structure was inlaid with the demon race's origin particles. Hong Yuntian also came back to his senses. He pondered for a moment and said, "The bloodline rune of the devil ape transformation is the fusion of the long-armed ape monkey and the demon race's bloodline. Your current strength rune is the condensation of the pure human bloodline and has no connection with the demon race's bloodline. To condense a stable bloodline rune and merge it with the berserk devil will, I'm afraid it will be extremely difficult." Hearing this, Lu Kuan smiled and said, "Yes, but the origin rune of the human and demon race's bloodline can be referred to Brother Hong." "Me?" Hong Yuntian was a bit confused. Lu Kuan slowly said, "Brother Hong seems to have forgotten that when you were in the early stage of the devil transformation, the demon zombie's essence particles formed a strange pattern." Hong Yuntian was stunned. Then he thought of something and a terrifying demonic aura surged out of his body. Purplish-black spots gradually appeared on the surface of his skin, bones, and internal organs. These spots twisted and intertwined to form a complex and profound pattern, which also looked like a strange totem. He murmured, "You're saying that this diagram manifested by the essence of the demon zombie through the nerves of the physical body is a kind of bloodline origin structure?" Lu Kuan nodded and asked, "Brother Hong, did you draw the distribution of the demonic zombie's essence on your own, or did your fleshly body automatically adjust it?" Hong Yuntian recalled the process of perfecting his cultivation method. His eyes carried a hint of realization as he said, "Although it was me who activated the nerves of the physical body, the diagram of the demonic zombie essence was adjusted by the physical body itself. In other words, my true demon bloodline is a combination of the bloodline origins of the human race and the demon race, forming a brand new bloodline rune structure." Lu Kuan nodded and said excitedly, "The method to break through to the viscera origin stage is to take the initiative to condense the bloodline origins of the human race, using the physical body and divine sense to activate it, and then combining it with the power of will to form a strength rune structure. Brother Hong's cultivation in the early stage of the devil transformation is the same principle." Hong Yuntian looked at his own body and felt the two kinds of essences of the physical body. His eyes carried a complicated expression as he said, "In the past, I wanted to find the mysteries of body refinement from the demon race and created the demon zombie body refinement art. I didn't expect it to be a cultivation method that fused the bloodlines of both the human and demon races. The blood demon power has already unified the flesh and blood of the two. After guiding the true demon will into the body, the blood demon power and the physical body's essence self-adjust to form this stable demonic zombie essence diagram. The bloodline ability it forms should be different from the strength rune. I'm afraid I will only know after I enter the middle stage of the devil transformation." Speaking of this, Hong Yuntian seemed to have thought of something. He said with a strange expression, "Wait, if that's the case, when you were halfway through your breakthrough, you thought of my true demon bloodline. Otherwise, you wouldn't have left so decisively." Lu Kuan shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "Even if I know the true structure of Brother Hong's true demon bloodline, there are still other difficulties in creating a new bloodline rune. First of all, the new bloodline rune needs to be tested repeatedly. But this test can only be carried out in the internal organs and dantian. Only then can the results be directly seen. But with the current state of my physical body, as soon as I activate my internal organs and dantian, I will uncontrollably enter the state of breaking through to the viscera origin stage. Normally speaking, there is only one chance to open my internal organs and dantian." Speaking of this, Lu Kuan said with some relief, "Fortunately, I broke through in the North Pole Mountain. I already have a solution to this. As long as I manifest my internal organs and dantian in the energy domain of other pseudo-divine transformation stage cultivators, the refined energy of those old fellows will clash with the frenzy will, and I will be able to break out of the breakthrough state in time. When the time comes, I'll just go to those old fellows' territory to test it." Lu Kuan talked about pseudo-divine transformation stage cultivators casually and didn't take those old fellows seriously at all. Compared to half a year ago, his current power was completely different. It was like he was constantly in the state of the Fiend 8. When Lu Kuan fought with Beihan Fairy, he already knew that a pseudo-soul formation cultivator's essence, soul, couldn't resist the full nascent soul power. Unless he was entangled by 7 or 8 essence soul chains at the beginning, those people wouldn't be able to defeat him. And with the full nascent soul power, Lu Kuan's essence force field had increased to 5 feet. How could he let them attack first? As for the second difficulty, speaking of this, Lu Kuan became serious. To test the structure of the rune many times, we will need a large amount of demon bloodline origin. The 2 fiend emperors on the monster island have been made into the snow soul dual blades, so we need to catch fresh fiend kings. Hong Yuntian didn't think it was difficult, so he said directly, "The ancient battlefield is about to open in half a month. If 2 fiend kings come, you can just snatch them at the end." 2 fiend kings is not safe. Lu Kuan shook his head and said with a dignified expression, "Brother Hong, the words engraved by Senior Li outside said that after the Yuan school ascended, the power of the world strengthened. The mid-divine transformation stage human cultivators weren't affected, but the fiend kings were suppressed to the early divine transformation stage. Is it true?" Hong Yuntian nodded and said, "Yes, so Elder Li easily wiped out the fiend kings hiding in the broken country with his mid-divine transformation stage cultivation. Why, do you want to catch a mid-divine transformation stage fiend king?" Lu Kuan didn't answer. After a moment of silence, he asked again. Senior Li also said that the fiend race used the space seal to shake every 500 years to send the fiend kings in. If the fiend race opened the space seal, how many fiend kings would be able to come in? There must be a limit, otherwise, when the Yuan school ascended, they wouldn't have left behind so many arrangements. Hong Yuntian frowned and seemed to understand what Lu Kuan was thinking. He said in a cold voice, "Lu Kuan, you are crazy. If the space seal is opened, the Xiuxian world will face the second war of the fiend race." "No, I am not crazy." Lu Kuan looked very calm. "Brother Hong, you haven't answered my question," Hong Yuntian said in a deep voice. "The space crack of the ancient battlefield was torn apart by Yuan school on its own initiative. It is very narrow and has limited endurance. The space storm inside is incomparably violent. There is only a gap every 500 years. If there was no Yuan school's space seal, the fiend race would take advantage of this gap and send in at most 10 fiend kings at once." Lu Kuan said calmly, "In 500 years, no more than 10 fiend kings. If we kill the 2 fiend kings that came from the ancient battlefield this time, there will be no more than 8 fiend kings. It is completely possible." Hong Yuntian looked very serious. "Lu Kuan, the space seal must not be opened. I know your magical power. You want to take them by surprise and attack them one by one. But do you know that at the beginning of the war of the ancient fiend race, the space crack was also limited? There were not many fiend kings, and there were no fiend emperors. But why did the war become more and more difficult later?" Without waiting for Lu Kuan to speak, he continued, "It is because they were focused on defense in the early stages. They concentrated on guarding the space crack and continuously sent in a large number of low-level fiend race. The fiend race's technique is very special. They can increase their cultivation by devouring the golden cores and nascent souls of immortal cultivators. They used battle to nourish battle. At that time, there was the Dark Insect clan to contain them. Their strength expanded like a rolling snowball. If not for the long-armed demon ape's betrayal, which created chaos in the fiend race's rear, and the Supreme Elder's breakthrough in the upper realm, the immortal cultivators would not have been able to win. Let me ask you, if 8 fiend kings were together and concentrated on guarding the space crack, would you be able to defeat them? As long as you can't defeat them, there will be 18 fiend kings in 500 years. Or even more. In the face of Hong Yuntian's questioning, Lu Kuan turned around. He was silent for a while and slowly said, "When a physique cultivator enters the bone treasure stage, he needs to use the water of the true devil to activate the blood demon force. Thus, he relies on the mutual destruction of fiend chi and dermic powers to temper the bone treasure. When the bone treasure stage is reached, the essence of the fiend race must be integrated into the bones, so that the bone treasure has the fiend attribute. In this way, it can be refined as a fiend treasure by the chi and blood demon force, complete the integration of the body, and generate the original power of the body. The Bone Transformation Physique Cultivator's War Treasure, the Great Five Elements Restriction, the Three Origin Heavy Steel, their refining materials are inseparable from fiend race corpses. Treasures like the Snow Soul Saber even use the Fiend Emperor's body. Most of the fiend race corpses obtained by Lu are related to the Demon Island, left by the Yuan school. The fiend race corpses in the Southwest Cultivation World's Demon Sect were also purchased by the Body Refining Pavilion. Lu Kuan sighed, but with the successive breakthroughs of physique cultivator disciples, these materials are already stretched thin, and the number of disciples in the next few generations will only increase. He turned around, his eyes staring at Hong Yuntian, and his voice gradually became louder. Brother Hong, the fiend race is not a wild beast, but a material of the Body Refining Pavilion, a material rarer than demon beast. Lu Kuan's expression became more and more fanatical, and he couldn't help but roar, his deep roar echoing in the cave. Using battle to support battle, how could it be the fiend race's turn? It is our Body Refining Pavilion's physique cultivators who use battle to support battle. The main force fighting the fiend race is not you and me, nor is it the traditional immortal cultivators, nor is it the demon race, but physique cultivators. This immortal cultivation world will be the world of physique cultivators in the future. Lu Kuan reached out and patted Hong Yuntian's shoulder. Brother Hong, times have changed. Chapter 1282. At the top of the highest peak of the North Pole Mountain, Fairy Beihan stood next to the silver restriction under a few huge space cracks. The Lan sisters were nervously setting up the array to crack it. Lu Jinyuan held the array disc in his hand and looked a bit relaxed. He felt something was wrong when he saw the Grandmaster sealing this place. Master Lu's divine power was even more terrifying than the rumors said. The Yuan sex restriction could stop the Grandmaster, but it might not be able to stop this terrifying expert. However, the Grandmaster's change of attitude seemed to be related to the vision of heaven and earth. As the sect master of the Northern Yuan sect, he had read all kinds of books in the sect. The vision of the essence chi was a bit like the vision of a soul formation realm breakthrough. Master Lu was already at the soul formation realm. Could it be another person? But the essence chi in the North Pole Mountain had been refined by the Grandmaster. Or did the vision stop just now mean that the breakthrough had failed? Thinking of this, Lu Jinyuan's forehead was covered in cold sweat even though he was at the peak of the Grand Cultivator realm. Obstructing the breakthrough of the soul formation realm was a huge enmity. The broken country would open again in 4 years. During this time, they couldn't escape from the North Pole Mountain. Buzz! Just as Lu Jinyuan was thinking, the array on the ground suddenly made a sound. Then, the silver ripples on the ground rippled and spread out like water waves. Why is it opening? I haven't activated the power of space yet. Lu Jinyuan was a bit stunned, but then he felt a nascent soul realm divine sense with a stubborn and unyielding willpower gushing out. I was wondering why it opened so quickly. It turns out that you were breaking the array. Lu Jinyuan's face turned pale. Although this divine sense seemed to have just broken through and was at the nascent soul realm late stage, the willpower seemed to be very solid. He felt his divine soul shake slightly when he touched it. Fortunately, the other party didn't have any evil intentions and dispersed after touching it. Fairy Beihan's face changed slightly when she felt this divine sense. Such a solid willpower was obviously self-comprehended. She immediately thought of the treasure that the Grandmaster said could help people comprehend willpower. After the divine sense scanned around, 2 figures flew out from the entrance. They were Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian. She looked at the 2 people with indifferent expressions and no aura fluctuations. She suddenly understood that these two people could control the restrictions of the North Pole Mountain. Could it be that what Lu Kuan said was true, that this bald man was Hong Yuntian? Only Hong Yuntian, who was mentioned by the founder, could open the restriction here. More and more doubts appeared in her heart. The other party was clearly able to open the restriction, so why did he use the primordial qi of the North Pole Mountain to beat her? Hong Yuntian looked at Lu Jinyuan and the other two who were setting up the array and saw Fairy Beihan's hesitant expression. He remembered the cold energy that was almost squeezed out of her essence qi and said, "Lu Kuan, I'm afraid the essence qi you've just created has scared Fairy Beihan." Lu Kuan was a little confused. Although he knew that the other party would definitely sense the conflict between the cold intent and the frenzy intent, he did not know that the full elemental force had almost cleansed the other party's cold intent when it entered his internal organs and dantian. Fairy Beihan was even more dumbfounded. Wasn't Lu Kuan already at the soul formation stage? Why was he still trying to break through? He couldn't have hurt her with one punch when he was only at the late-stage nascent soul stage. If he was trying to break through, the sudden stop earlier meant that he had failed. However, Lu Kuan didn't look angry at all. Instead, there was a hint of joy in his eyes. Fairy Beihan's expression changed. She slightly bowed and said, "I've been trapped in the mountain for 600 years. It's inevitable that I'm a little impatient. Please forgive me for offending you before, Master Lu." Lu Kuan felt strange. "You know Lu?" Fairy Beihan pointed at Lu Jinyuan next to her and said, "This is the current sect master of our sect. Master Lu's divine power has been spread to the far north." Of course, he recognized him. Lu Kuan didn't mean any harm to this pseudo-soul formation cultivator. He was even a little grateful. If it weren't for this person, he would have entered the Zhongyuan stage unknowingly. Therefore, he cupped his hands and said, "I see." After Lu entered the broken country, he was besieged by 6 pseudo-soul formation cultivators and had to run away. It's inevitable that he was a little depressed. So, we'll let bygones be bygones. Thank you, Master Lu. Hearing this, Fairy Beihan squeezed out a dry smile on her cold face. Then, she turned to Hong Yuntian and said hesitantly, "This fellow cultivator can control the restriction here. Is he really alive?" Hong Yuntian crossed his arms and said, "Yes, I'm Hong Yuntian, an elder of the Yuan sect. I used to be in charge of the body refining sect. More than 70,000 years ago, I sealed myself with a secret technique and didn't wake up until a few decades ago. Now, I'm in the body refining pavilion as the Grand Elder." He stood tall and straight, and his tone was incomparably arrogant, with a unique majesty that came from being in a high position for a long time. Fairy Beihan, Lu Jinyuan, and the others behind her were shocked when they heard this. The Yuan sect had such a secret technique. No wonder their founder always believed that Hong Yuntian would come. It turned out that he could live for tens of thousands of years. However, Hong Yuntian's tone made them feel a little strange. When he mentioned the body refining pavilion, his expression became even more arrogant, as if the Grand Elder of the body refining pavilion had a higher status than the elders of the Yuan sect. He's in charge of the body refining sect of the Yuan sect. Is this the special technique that our founder mentioned? If this technique wasn't perfected, why did the Yuan sect leave Hong Yuntian in the immortal cultivation world? Wouldn't it be better for him to go to the immortal cultivation world? Hong Yuntian is an elder of the Yuan sect. Master Lu's cultivation has reached the soul formation realm, which means that the body refining technique has been perfected. Who is he? Although Fairy Beihan had confirmed a lot of information, there were more doubts in her mind. Lu Kuan smiled and didn't say anything. He looked up at the huge space crack that was more than 20 feet long. Through the blue light, he could even see the little lights inside, twinkling like stars. He was stunned and suddenly remembered the crack that he had crossed through. What kind of power allowed his fragile body to cross the world? Hong Yuntian's gaze also turned and he said thoughtfully, "The Northern Yuan sect was founded by elderly. Are you responsible for guarding the North Pole Mountain and the Reverse Spirit Channel?" Fairy Beihan's eyes flashed with a trace of vigilance, and she slowly said, "Our sect's mission is to stabilize and guard the Reverse Spirit Channel. As for the space inside the North Pole Mountain, it was discovered by accident. Now that I think about it, the seniors put the Reverse Spirit Channel here for another reason, which is to let us guard the North Pole Mountain at the same time. Since fellow Hong Yuntian has appeared, the mission of the Northern Yuan sect has come to an end." She was a little nervous. The founder and this Hong Yuntian were from the same era. If he used this name to enter the Northern Yuan sect, what should she do? Lu Kuan looked at her expression and quickly understood her concerns. He chuckled and said, "Seniorly asked the Northern Yuan sect to guard the Reverse Spirit Channel, which has nothing to do with Brother Hong. We have already taken the things left behind, so you don't have to worry about anything. However, Lu is a little curious. I didn't see you at the entrance of the Broken Kingdom. Could it be that the Northern Yuan sect has other ways to enter?" Fairy Beihan secretly let out a sigh of relief, and she replied, "The founder left behind a teleportation array. Whenever the Broken Kingdom opens, the space fluctuations will calm down, and we will be able to teleport directly through the array. However, the North Pole Mountain is surrounded by dense space cracks, so we can't go to other places in the Broken Kingdom." Lu Kuan said thoughtfully, "I wonder if Fairy Beihan can take us to have a look." "No problem." Fairy Beihan agreed without hesitation. It seemed that this Master Lu wanted to leave the North Pole Mountain. However, even if he was strong, she didn't think that they could get out. The space cracks around them were too dense. She then led the way, with Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian beside her. The three of them flew slowly and chatted casually. Lu Jinyuan and the Lan sisters followed behind with a distance of 2 feet. They all pricked up their ears and listened quietly. Due to the space cracks around the North Pole Mountain and the occasional small space turbulence, their speed was not fast. After half a day, they arrived at an ice crystal cliff. There was a frost-covered array on top of it. Lu Kuan looked at it and could only see that it was a teleportation array. He then looked at the dense space cracks outside the cliff and said slowly, "Brother Hong, where is this place in the North Pole Mountain?" Hong Yuntian recalled and said, "It should be in the southwest direction of the North Pole Mountain, facing the Broken Kingdom." Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with joy and said, "That is to say, if the space seal fails, there is another entrance to the North Pole Mountain besides the Guiyuan River." Hong Yuntian said with a cautious expression, "Just in case, we still have to explore the Broken Kingdom." Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes and said, "If that is the case, we only need to gather our forces and guard the entrance to the Guiyuan River. The North Pole Mountain can be used as an entrance to the Broken Kingdom." Hong Yuntian nodded slightly and didn't say anything. Fairy Beihan listened to the two of them and was a little confused. She hesitated and said, "The space cracks around the North Pole Mountain are thinner than the ones around the Broken Kingdom. However, it is still not a place that an early soul formation stage cultivator can pass through." Lu Kuan smiled and didn't say anything. He looked at Lu Jinyuan and said, "You are the sect master of the Northern Yuan sect, right?" Lu Jinyuan was trying to figure out the secrets of the will in his mind. He immediately walked up and said respectfully, "I am Lu Jinyuan, the sect master of the Northern Yuan sect." A token appeared in Lu Kuan's hand. He tossed it over and said, "Once the Broken Nation is over, arrange for 1 or 2 quick-witted nascent soul disciples to bring this token to the Southwest Chamber of Commerce. They will send someone to contact you." Lu Jinyuan took the token. He couldn't tell what material it was made of. There was a small black mountain and the words, "Southwest Chamber of Commerce," carved on it. His eyes flashed with joy and he said, "Senior, don't worry. I have heard of the Southwest Chamber of Commerce, but I have no way to get in touch with them. When I return, I will send an elder to go there. Lu Kun then looked at Fairy Beihan and said seriously, Lu has a request and I hope you can help. Fairy Beihan saw his expression and said seriously, Master Lu, please tell me. Lu Kun said, after the Broken Kingdom, I hope you can gather all the sects in the far north as soon as possible. It would be best if the Northern Yuan sect could be the leader and form an alliance. Fairy Beihan was startled. She wanted to expand her territory after breaking through to the soul formation stage, but it was too difficult to gather all the sects in the far north. Some of the sects had soul formation stage cultivators and were quite powerful. She hesitated and was about to say something, but then she saw Lu Kun and Hong Yuntian's bodies shrink to 1/3 of their original size at a speed visible to the naked eye. They turned into two beams of light and rushed into the space cracks outside. A sentence floated through the air. The second war of the demons is about to begin. Chapter 1283. The Second Demon War? The demon race is going to invade again? After a while, they finally came back to their senses. The Lan sisters didn't have much of an idea, but Fairy Beihan and Lu Jinyuan were shocked. As the senior members of the Northern Yuan sect, they had seen many records of the ancient demon war. At that time, the entire immortal realm worked together and barely defeated the demon race. The essence chi in the immortal realm was chaotic, and the strength of the cultivators was much weaker than in the ancient times. In the ancient times, the demon race also participated in the war, but now the demon race had declined, and after being driven out of the land by the human race, it was difficult for both sides to help each other. Fairy Beihan looked at the two small figures that were moving through the space crack. She suddenly remembered the conversation between Lu Kun and Hong Yuntian, and the calm look on their faces. The fear in her heart eased a little, and she forced herself to calm down. There are no demon race, but now there is the body refining pavilion. Master Lu and Hong Yuntian might be the backup plan left by the Yuan sect. They seemed to have prepared for it. Then she said with a serious face, Jinyuan, go back and arrange for someone to contact the Southwest Chamber of Commerce. If there is a war, this is the best way to transmit information. Yes, Ancestral Master. Fairy Beihan's divine sense sensed the two treasures in the storage bag and murmured, it's been 600 years. The sects in the far north have probably forgotten about me. It's time to move around to the west of the central region of the Broken Nation. The ancient battlefield was shrouded in a white fog that covered the sky. Endless spiritual energy poured out from the cracks in space, constantly replenishing the fog, and waves of mysterious restriction fluctuations spread out from within. Although the fog restriction was filled with pure spiritual energy, the area within 100 miles of it was a barren, rocky desert. The spatial cracks inside only had deep blue light flickering, and no spiritual energy or demonic energy leaked out. The area surrounding the ancient battlefield was called the Ring of Desolation by the cultivators. On this day, dozens of cultivators gathered on a rocky slope in the Ring of Desolation. They were in groups of 2 or 3, divided into more than 20 teams, and all of them had the 5 spirit plates in their hands. Old Demon Nebula and Old Monster Xie were among them, but there was an additional bald old man beside them. This old man was also at the peak of the middle stage. From his attire, one could tell that he was an elder of the Prime Devil sect. He was speaking eloquently, as if trying to rope in 2 loose cultivators to join the Prime Devil sect's team. The other teams were also communicating with each other. They were all planning to move in groups. The spatial seal created by the Devil King would usually loosen after the white fog weakened. Every time the Devil King struggled to get out, those divine transformation seniors would have already surrounded him. The primordial battlefield covered an area of 5,000 miles. As long as one stayed away from the center, they would not be able to participate in the battle between the soul formation stage cultivators. However, when the Devil Kings were crossing realms, there would be some Devil Generals who would enter as well. There were even some who had reached the late stage. These devils not only had exquisite devil Tao divine arts, but their corporeal bodies were also extremely powerful. They could fight those above their level. If there were no great cultivators in the group, or if there were too few of them, they would be in danger if they encountered a late-stage devil general. As time passed, dazzling escape lights appeared on the horizon one after another. Even from dozens of miles away, one could feel the terrifying pressure of true essence. The Semigod Realm Senior is here. There are a total of 8 escape lights. Even if there are 2 Devil Kings, we don't have to worry about anything. Then we can follow the Senior and enter. I heard that every time the primordial battlefield opens, the Yuan Sect's hidden cavern will appear. We have to carefully sense the spatial fluctuations. There might be more devil generals this time. We have to be vigilant at all times. The 8 pseudo-soul formation stage experts landed on a rocky desert 10 miles away. This place was close to the white fog restriction outside the primordial battlefield. Abbot Ji Yuan looked at the 6 pseudo-soul formation stage experts led by Reverend Huoling. He frowned and said, "Your primordial spirits seem to be damaged. What happened? There doesn't seem to be anything in the broken nation that can threaten you." He was an expert who comprehended the power of will on his own. Although he had not reached the pseudo-soul formation stage, his perception of primordial spirits was not weaker than others. He immediately noticed that there was something wrong with the aura of these people. Gu Deming also sensed it. His eyes flashed with sarcasm as he said, "I told you that Lu Kuan's divine ability is strange and his explosive power is shocking. He is even more troublesome than the Devil Kings. He is not that easy to deal with." Abbot Ji Yuan was shocked and said, "You went to deal with Master Lu?" Reverend Huoling said with a serious expression, "Yes and no." "What do you mean?" Reverend Huoling said slowly, "We did fight with Master Lu. However, we suspect that he is an immortal cultivator who has been possessed by the devil race's remnant soul." Possessed? Ji Yuan shook his head and said, "Impossible. At that time, Taoist Wu and I both sensed that Master Lu is a pure human soul." Reverend Huoling heard this and did not say anything. The true essence in his body surged. Rays of spiritual light shot out and condensed into a handsome young man in midair. "This person seems familiar. I saw him at the entrance. He is a nascent soul stage demonic cultivator." Ji Yuan felt that this person was familiar. Reverend Ice Spirit said, "Ji Yuan, I checked the floating island. This person has the 5 spirit plates. They are the ones you gave to the body refining pavilion." After being reminded, Ji Yuan suddenly remembered that those people were the demonic cultivators from the southwest cultivation world. Could this person be Master Lu? Reverend Huoling's hand flashed and a milky white jade appeared. He said with a serious expression, "You should know that after entering the broken country, we have been sensing the Yuan jade pendant. This old man originally wanted to go to the fire dragon pond to take a look. Who knew that I would meet this person on the way? When I got close, the Yuan jade pendant suddenly had a weak reaction. Thus, I decided to check carefully." At this point, the spirit light in front of him distorted, and the young man outlined by the spirit light changed. He bent his back, and purple-black scales grew on his body. 2 rows of bone spikes protruded from his back, and he turned into a humanoid monster. "He looks like a demonic cultivator?" Ji Yuan looked at the monster and said hesitantly. Reverend Huoling nodded and said, "Who knew that after this guy saw me, he would become like this? He even used the Demon King's special ability. This old man was no match for him. Thus, I secretly used the 10,000-mile talisman to call for you. After we worked together to subdue him, this monster called himself Master Lu. He said that soul formation cultivators could not kill each other." Speaking to hear, his expression turned ugly and he said, "Just as we were in a stalemate, this guy suddenly spat out the ancient underworld insect race's holy item and self-destructed. Our primordial spirit chains could not be controlled and were destroyed. In the end, he escaped. Abbot Ji Yuan's expression changed slightly and he said, "The ancient underworld insect race's holy item cannot be activated by immortal cultivators. With the body of a demonic cultivator and the reaction of the Yuan jade pendant, it could be the remnant soul of a demonic cultivator." However, he called himself Master Lu. Perhaps he was trying to frame us. Reverend Huoling squinted his eyes and said, "That is indeed a possibility. However, the 5-spirit plate on him cannot be fake." These strange things made me suspicious of Lu Kuan. He asked, "Ji Yuan, Gu Deming, when you fought with Lu Kuan, did you sense the Yuan jade pendant?" The two of them shook their heads. How could they think of using this thing to absorb the soul of a demonic cultivator? Reverend Huoling said with a serious expression, "Think about it. Lu Kuan's divine ability is too incredible. He can transform like a demon. Also, the long-armed demon ape only appeared briefly during the ancient demon war," Swanee Dragon King added at this time. "From my bloodline memory, I know that the long-armed demon ape ascended to the upper realm not long after the war. In today's immortal cultivation world, not to mention the long-armed demon ape, even the long-armed giant ape is extinct. It is impossible for the bloodline to be passed down. The ones who know the long-armed demon ape the best should be the demonic cultivators of the ancient demon era. If it is a demonic soul that survived from the ancient demon ape, it is possible that it knows the secrets of the long-armed demon ape's divine ability." Without waiting for Ji Yuan to speak, Wu Wenxuan said, "Ji Yuan, you should know that I sacrificed an avatar refined from the organs of a demonic cultivator to barely control the demon dragon blade. However, when Lu Kuan used it, there was no sense of stagnation at all. If the other party is a demonic soul, then it makes sense." Speaking of this, fear flashed in his eyes. He seemed to be fearful and said, "The other party can control 2 types of vitality at the same time, and that unique divine ability. Maybe he was taken over by the Demon Emperor." Demon Emperor. Hearing those 2 words, Ji Yuan and the others all revealed expressions of fear. Ji Yuan was silent for a moment before saying, "I've been to the Body Refinement Pavilion and even came into contact with one of Pavilion Master Lu's disciples. That person's cultivation level was in the nascent soul stage, and he also had supernatural powers. He couldn't be a demon emperor, right?" Flame Spirit Sage did not answer directly. Instead, he said, "There should be records in your sections. The Yuan sect has a secret realm that seals demonic souls in the southwest immortal cultivation world. 20,000 years ago, a demonic soul escaped. In the end, it was captured by the great elder of the blood refining sect. This person refined it into a demonic soul pill and broke through to the semi-god realm." Ji Yuan nodded. "This matter was recorded in the Huatian Temple. 20,000 years ago, that person went to the Saint Devil sect to steal the demon dragon blade. In the end, not only was he injured, but he was also captured by the semi-god realm cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty. After knowing the news, our elders wanted to search for the secret realm called Demon Island, but we were stopped by Serene. With that semi-god realm cultivator who had lived for 30,000 years, even if there were demonic souls left in that secret realm, nothing would happen. So, our elders did not continue to search." His expression became serious. "Now that I think about it, the rise of the Body Refining Pavilion seems to be after the fall of Serene. If it is really a demonic soul that escaped from that secret realm, it is very likely that there is more than one demonic soul. As we all know, demonic souls have more chances of possession than cultivators. If this suspected demon emperor's remnant soul had possessed the Tongbi demon ape in the ancient times, it might have brought its divine ability into Lu Kuan's body. Of course, this is also my speculation. Flame Spirit Sage said slowly, but according to this speculation, Lu Kuan's various strange divine abilities and the way to control demonic soul Yuan Qi at the same time are all relying on the Demon Emperor's remnant soul. Speaking of this, his expression was very serious. If this is the case, then we are in great danger. As long as he helps the Demon King when the ancient battlefield opens and destroys Yuan Sek's space seal, I am afraid that the immortal cultivation world will face the second invasion of the Demon Clan. Hearing this, everyone was silent. Abbot Ji Yuan was disturbed by Flame Spirit Sage's analysis. He suddenly thought of the great elder called Hong Yuntian that he met in the body refining pavilion. He seemed to know a lot about the ancient times. In particular, there were many secrets of Buddhism in the ancient times. Even the Five Spirits Temple might not have records of such things during the War of the Demon Clan. After a long time, Abbot Ji Yuan chanted Buddha's name and said, "Great Spirit Lord Buddha, these are all my friend Flame Spirit's speculations. But what if Master Lu is a rare genius that only appears once in tens of thousands of years and created the human race's body refining lineage? So what?" Flame Spirit Sage heard this and said calmly, "That is very simple. As long as we can prove that the human race can cultivate the body refining technique and not rely on the power of the demon soul, it will be enough. In order to dispel his concerns, we will use the Oath Stone to set up a restriction. We will only speculate about this technique and will never spread it." When Gu Deming heard this, he could not help but raise his head and look at everyone. He found that everyone had a look of righteousness. Only the three-headed dragon had a strange look on his face. His lips moved slightly as if he was whispering something. He sneered in his heart, but he did not open his mouth. Instead, he remained silent. Ji Yuan sighed. Just as he was about to speak, a loud noise suddenly came from beside his ear. Everyone could not help but look over. They saw that the white fog not far away suddenly rolled, and there were purple-black spots on it. The profound restriction fluctuation quickly weakened. What's going on? The ancient battlefield opened half a month in advance. This has never happened before. Did something happen inside? Chapter 1284. Looking at the gradually thinning white fog, Supremacy Hualing said in a deep voice, "Although Lu Kuan has the five-spirit plate, as long as he uses it, my junior brother and I will be able to sense it and make it lose its effect immediately. Regardless of whether this fella is possessed by the remnant soul of the Devil Emperor with his current offensive power, it will be hard for him to break the ancient battlefield's restriction from the outside. Let's deal with the Devil Kings that have crossed over first. If one of the Devil Kings is free, then he will have the chance to coordinate with the Devil World's experts and work together to break the spatial restriction. We have to hold them back at the same time. Luckily, we have the help of the two demonic cultivators. There shouldn't be a problem. Let's go." With that, Supremacy Hualing led the way and flew forward. The other divine transformation stage experts followed closely behind. At this moment, Abbot Ji Yuan could only put aside Lu Kuan's matter for now. As for the nascent soul stage cultivators that were 10 miles away, they had also noticed the changes in the ancient battlefield's restriction. They were surprised that it had been opened prematurely. However, when they saw that the divine transformation stage seniors had left, they also flew towards the dim white fog in group. In the Broken Country's northeast region, above the vast ice plains, Lu Kuan and Hong Yuntian were flying rapidly. As the two of them flew, their gazes were fixed on the snow soul dual sabers in Lu Kuan's hands. These two weapons that were comparable to divine spiritual treasures were now very different. The snow soul saber in his left hand was silver-white in color. It was more than 4 feet long. The thick and shiny saber was curved into an arc. On the surface of the saber, there were fine patterns that were slightly uneven. They looked a little like the patterns of bones. However, if one were to look closely, these patterns looked like some kind of mysterious runes. They intertwined with each other and outlined together. There was a rough and bold feeling of power, which made one feel fearful. As for the Snow Soul Devil saber in his right hand, it had turned from its original black color to a dark gray color. Other than the difference in color, its size and shape were exactly the same as the other saber. Black and white yuan-chi halos circled around the blades. The two long blades trembled from time to time, emitting bursts of cheering sounds, as if they were cheering for their complete formation. Lu Kuan looked at the Snow Soul twin blades as if they were treasures inside. This set of battle treasures has finally taken shape. I didn't expect that after entering the late stage of bone transformation, the effect of condensing bones with blood would be so good. It can even transfer the density of the silver dragon cloud iron material to it, greatly increasing its hardness. Hong Yuntian also exclaimed, combined with the bone transformation late stage Abhijna, the Snow Soul dual blade's agility has greatly increased, and can be extended into more combat methods. Lu Kuan nodded. His expression changed. The Snow Soul dual blades turned into balls of silver blood and flowed into his arms through the openings in his palms. Then, his palms turned into the shape of a hand blade. The muscles and bones in his arms twisted at the same time. The bones under the forearm were squeezed out from the muscles, turning into a black-gray and silver-white blade, forming a perfect blade arc with the hand blade. When he was fighting with the semi-god realm warriors, Lu Kuan's blade arms were like muscle fibers that forcibly tied the blades together. It was very rough, but now the blade arms were completely natural, as if they had grown out of his flesh. Other than that, the hardness of the Snow Soul saber was also very different. It could be said that the completed Snow Soul saber was a combination of a divine spiritual treasure and a bone treasure. Even if it didn't have the void condensing essence divine spiritual treasure, its material could still compete with a real divine spiritual treasure. Hong Yuntian looked at the blades moving around in Lu Kuan's body and became more and more amazed. He became more and more confident about the upcoming war against the devil race. At this moment, he suddenly stopped and turned his head to look at the plain below. There was 100 zhang tall mountain covered by more than a dozen space cracks. What's wrong? Lu Kuan followed his gaze and spread out his soul consciousness. Soon, he sensed something. Someone set up a restriction formation. There seems to be an immortal cultivator here. Hong Yuntian sneered and said, "It's Su Junwen. She didn't stay with the semi-god realm warriors. Instead, she came to this ice plain." "It's her?" Lu Kuan was surprised. In order to break through the limit of his power, he destroyed the golden light divine eye. His soul consciousness was similar to that of a peak grand cultivator. Although Hong Yuntian's soul consciousness had just reached the late stage of the nascent soul realm, his soul consciousness was not much weaker than a semi-god realm warrior with the help of his willpower. He could even detect the other party through the restriction formation. Lu Kuan looked at the mountain below and his eyes became cold. If it weren't for the Snow Soul dual blades, it would be troublesome to blow up her nascent soul. Now is the time for the body refining pavilion to rise. There is no need for the Yin-Yang sect to exist. As he spoke, his body fell straight down. He raised his right arm and the silver blade on it and his arm expanded at the same time. After reaching the late stage of the bone transformation realm, even a normal body cultivator would be able to perform the Dharma form world. The Snow Soul dual blades with the help of the blood bones could do the same. Lu Kuan's right arm kept expanding. The muscle fibers on his forearm gradually thinned and moved to his upper arm. The blade in front of his arm enlarged by 3 times. It grew to 13 feet. Lu Kuan's eyes were bloodshot. A terrifying full nascent soul force surged out of his body. Countless white halos gathered and condensed into a silver blade aura that was 300 feet long. There were countless mysterious curved runes on it, and a terrifying energy shot up to the sky. Before the giant blade fell, the small mountain below shook violently. The ice and snow on the mountain kept shattering. Cracks appeared on the mountain as if it couldn't withstand the powerful energy. Boom! The top of the mountain and the cracks in the surrounding space were hit by the silver blade. Under the violent yuan qi energy, 1/3 of the mountain disappeared. However, at this time, the blood in Lu Kuan's eyes quickly receded. The origin power in his body quickly retracted. The giant silver blade shook twice in dissatisfaction. However, without the support of the energy, it could only collapse. In the ruins of the mountain, a 2-foot-tall pink nascent soul was also collapsing. It soon disappeared, leaving behind a 1/2-foot-tall nascent soul. Its aura was extremely weak. Su Junwen, a rare genius of the Yin-Yang sect, was killed so easily. He didn't even have time to escape. If Lu Kuan hadn't retracted his Dharma form, his second nascent soul's origin would have been reduced to nothingness. Lu Kuan swung his arm that had returned to normal. He looked at the mini-nascent soul below and frowned slightly. It seems that I have to wait until my physical body reaches the grand completion stage before I can control the full nascent soul force. I can't search the soul of a dissipating soul. Brother Hong, you can try. As the two of them spoke, they had already landed on the ruins of the mountain. Hong Yuntian's divine sense surged into the dim nascent soul. Lu Kuan stretched out his hand and took the 2 storage bracelets from the ground. He casually checked them. After half an hour, Su Junwen's second nascent soul's origin had completely dissipated. Hong Yuntian said thoughtfully, "So this androgynous guy obtained the illusory devil hybrid art left by Han Ting in the Yiyuan secret realm. That's how he created the dual nascent soul cultivation technique." Hearing this, Lu Kuan scanned with his divine sense and took out an ancient jade slip. He tossed it over and said, "This seems to be it." Hong Yuntian took the jade slip and glanced at it. He said softly, "I didn't expect Han Ting to modify the illusory devil hybrid art again. There's an additional divine sense secret technique in it. Even if a demonic cultivator has no foundation, he can try to control the child body by cultivating this secret technique." After thinking for a while, he said with a look of realization, "I understand." This technique was created to complement the art of cultivating devil. On one hand, the disciples of the Han family can help the demonic zombies cleanse their souls and make them immune to the true devil will. On the other hand, they can also filter this will through the demonic zombies and directly absorb the water of the true devil to cultivate. Hong Yuntian sighed softly and said with a complicated expression, "I was a little prejudiced against her back then. Now it seems that this woman has spent a lot of energy on the art of cultivating devil. I don't know if she has created a new devil will after entering the upper realm." When Lu Kuan heard this, he suddenly remembered a secret about Qian Jingshan that he overheard in old Demon Pang's cave mansion. He couldn't help but say, the art of cultivating devil was also in the Yiyuan secret realm, but it was obtained by Qian Jingshan. This person first cultivated the illusory devil hybrid art. Later, with the help of the art of cultivating devil and the demonic zombies, he soaked in the water of the true devil and broke through to the late nascent soul stage. He also wanted to use this to break through to the pseudo-divine transformation stage. Unfortunately, he failed. Hong Yuntian was stunned and said, "No wonder that Lu Yanjun's demonic zombies were refined from the bodies of demonic cultivators, but they were very compatible with me. Turns out that they were refined with the art of cultivating devil. Illusory devil hybrid art, art of cultivating devil, demonic zombie body refining art." Lu Kuan whispered and his eyes flashed with a thoughtful look. "Yes, these are the cornerstones of Yiyuan School's body refining branch. Unfortunately, in the end, I am the only one left. Hey, what's wrong with you?" Hong Yuntian suddenly found that Lu Kuan kept whispering, as if he was thinking about something. An irrepressible thought emerged in Lu Kuan's mind. When he heard Hong Yuntian's call, he took a deep breath and said, Brother Hong, are you really willing to be the only one left in the demonic zombie body refining branch? When Hong Yuntian heard this, he couldn't help but fall into silence. He thought of his biological brother, Hong Yuntong, who created the profound cloud body refining art. This strange energy was not only the core of the demonic zombie body refining art, but also the body refining branch of the body refining pavilion couldn't be separated from it. However, because the path of body refining was unclear, his brother and countless disciples of the profound cloud body refining art were swallowed by the demonic energy of blood. The cultivation process of the disciples of the demonic zombie body refining art was even more painful and cruel. In the end, he succeeded in breaking through the Dan, but because of the research of the demonic zombie body refining art, one by one, the consciousness of the demonic zombie body refining art was swallowed by the bloodthirsty will, and only Hong Yuntian was left. Thinking of this, Hong Yuntian said in a heavy tone, "In order to perfect the demonic zombie body refining art, Yuan School's body refining branch sacrificed too many disciples. I naturally don't want this power technique to disappear. But I have to admit, the demonic zombie body refining art has too many flaws compared to your power technique." Lu Kuan slowly shook his head and said, "You are wrong." "Wrong?" Hong Yuntian frowned. Lu Kuan asked, "Brother Hong, if you compare the demonic zombie body refining art with the 5 elements body refining art, then why don't you combine the advantages of both?" "Combine the advantages?" Lu Kuan didn't answer and said, "The cultivation of the 5 elements body refining art is also full of risk. The most difficult stage is the bone transformation stage. Not to mention the difficulty of breaking through. After failing, the disciples will turn into a pool of pus and blood. We thought of transforming the tool spirit into another way to survive, but what if these disciples practice the soul secret technique of phantom child power before breaking through, and then control the corpse of a devil general?" Hong Yuntian was surprised. The body cultivator who has mastered the bone treasure technique can control the subbody of the demonic zombie. Yes, in this way, even if the body of these disciples is swallowed by the demonic energy of blood, but with the guidance of phantom child power, the remaining soul can wrap around the demonic energy of blood and enter the body of the demonic zombie. Speaking of this, Lu Kuan thought of the 3 disciples who died tragically in the heavenly tribulation. Schwerer had now turned into the snow soul blade to accompany him, but Yu Xian and Zhao Qingtian's corpses had been destroyed, and their souls had been extinguished. He couldn't help but clench his fists, and said with a slightly excited mood, "With the subbody of the demonic zombie, the disciples who failed to break through can not only survive, but can also continue to practice the demonic zombie body refining art. They even have the chance to cross the tribulation a second time." Hong Yuntian's mind seemed to be struck by lightning, and he muttered, "After the demonic zombie body refining art breaks through the core, the body will turn into a pool of demonic energy of blood and blood. What's the difference between this and the body cultivator disciples who failed to break through to the bone transformation stage and were also swallowed by the demonic energy of blood and blood?" Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with fanaticism, and in this way, the cultivation resources of the demonic zombie body refining art will be greatly reduced, and only the corpse of a devil general will be enough. We can annex the blood refining school, and use their orthodox demonic cultivators to refine the bodies of the demonic zombie disciples with the demonic refining art, and make them immune to the true demonic intent. Under Lu Kuan's guidance, Hong Yuntian's mind suddenly opened up. If the demonic energy of blood and blood can't swallow a devil general, then we can use it as a magic weapon to refine it. After the body integrates, the source power of the body will be generated. At that time, they should be like me in the past. The source power of the body will be based on the body of the demonic zombie, and will not be able to completely integrate with the demonic energy of blood and blood. They will need to use a secret technique to sleep, and when the source power is truly formed, the heavenly tribulation will fall, and they will undergo the second tribulation. With help, I can steal book tickets like stealing vegetables. Come and steal your friends' book tickets to vote for my book. Lu Kuan's expression became more and more fanatical. Not only that, we can even hide these disciples in the Yuan's secret domain and block the heavenly tribulation. They can sleep for at least tens of thousands of years, and these sleeping disciples will become the foundation of the school. The more time passes, the more disciples will be hidden. If the body refining pavilion really encounters a crisis, they can be awakened at a critical moment, and it will be equivalent to having more than a dozen or even dozens of devil transformation stage body cultivators. When Hong Yuntian heard this, his pitch-black eyes flashed with a trace of sparkling and translucent color. He clenched his fists, and his nails sank into his flesh. In this way, the demonic zombie body refining art will continue to be passed down. His voice was a bit hoarse. The body refining disciples of Yuan school have not sacrificed in vain. Chapter 1285. A moment later, Hong Yuntian exhaled and said, I understand you now. The body refining pavilion's current cultivation methods are all closely related to the demon race. It's not enough to just hunt down the demon race. If the body refining pavilion wants to continue to exist, we have to keep the demon race in captivity. He looked up at the sky and slowly said, The broken kingdom is surrounded by spatial cracks. It's the best place to keep the demon race in captivity. However, we still have to plan carefully whether or not we can do this. At this moment, Hong Yuntian finally acknowledged Lu Kuan's decision and began to analyze it seriously. The first problem is to integrate the cultivation world. We don't need the body refining pavilion to rule the world, but we need to at least be the dominant force and have the traditional cultivators listen to our commands. Hong Yuntian glanced at Lu Kuan and said, I just searched Su Junwen's soul and found out that he investigated the body refining pavilion situation and handed it over to the Five Spirits Temple decades ago. Even if you're stronger than those pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators, their sects are far more powerful than the body refining pavilion. With the body refining pavilion's current strength and prestige, it won't be a problem for them to dominate the Southwest, but it won't work for them to dominate the entire cultivation world. Hearing this, Lu Kuan immediately understood. No wonder those pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators directly attacked. They already knew that the body refining pavilion's overall strength was insufficient. Then, he frowned. As for how to lead the sects, I have some ideas. However, we have to wait until the spatial seal is truly broken. It's good that you know. Hong Yuntian nodded and said, On the way here, I carefully reviewed the information left behind by the Grand Elder. This spatial seal isn't that easy to break. Lu Kuan asked curiously, If it can't be broken, then why do the demon race keep sending demon kings here? Hong Yuntian didn't answer directly. Instead, he asked with a slightly gloomy expression, Lu Kuan, do you know why the demon race can send demon kings to the cultivation world, but our human seniors from the upper realm can't communicate with the lower realm? Upon hearing this, Lu Kuan had a vague guess in his heart. Could it be related to the strength of the two clans? Hong Yuntian sighed. The demon race has a body integration stage being, while the strongest human being is only at the late void refinement stage. Only by relying on body integration stage abilities can a higher level plane communicate with a lower level plane. The devilish race is only able to teleport across realms with the assistance of such terrifying beings. As for our human race, at most, we rely on the incarnation method of the Supreme Elder to barely transmit information. Now that Yuan school has ascended, the two worlds have directly cut off the connection. Lu Kuan listened quietly. Based on this alone, he could feel the pressure faced by the human race in the upper realm. There was a huge gap between the soul formation stage and the nascent soul stage, let alone the gap between the integration stage and the void refinement stage. Hong Yuntian continued. Behind the primordial battlefield's spatial seal, there's a body integration stage demon overseeing it. Such a terrifying existence is even more suppressed by the power of the realm and can't break the spatial seal from a distance. However, if there's a demon king here to cooperate with them, they can guide a trace of the power of the body integration stage expert into the spatial crack and destroy the seal in one fell swoop. The reason why the demon race keeps sending demon kings over is to find a chance to succeed and cooperate with the experts of the demon world to cast the spell. Hearing this, Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with admiration. 500 years here is only 5 years in the demon world. It seems that there's a deeper meaning to this spatial seal, which is to use this realm with a different flow of time as a temptation to restrain the body integration stage demon overlord. Yes. Hong Yuntian looked to the west and said, although those pseudo-soul formation stage experts said that 2 demon kings will come, they can't guarantee it. So, you have to be careful and hide. If those old guys have the upper hand, you have to secretly help the demon king. His eyes turned cold. But if you're discovered, you have to kill these people. Otherwise, if word gets out, you, Lu Kuan, will be a traitor of the human race. How can you lead the immortal cultivation world? But the other pseudo-soul formation stage experts can't all die, Lu Kuan said with a serious expression. I understand. Now that I have the full nascent soul power, I should be fine as long as I'm careful. This is not the most troublesome part. At this point, Hong Yuntian said seriously, if the demon kings succeed in destroying the spatial seal, they will definitely continue to teleport the demon kings. If 8 demon kings come together, you, Lu Kuan, will be in great danger even if you work together with the other pseudo-soul formation stage experts. So, at this time, you have to find a way to trigger a node in the spatial crack and interrupt their teleportation. When the spatial turbulence erupts, it can block the teleportation for at least 100 years. With this buffer time, we can make a good plan to seal the Broken Kingdom and completely limit the second war of the demon race to this area. Listening to Hong Yuntian's analysis, Lu Kuan said excitedly, Brother Hong is really thoughtful. With 8 demon kings gathered together, I'm afraid I can only protect myself. But if we expand the battlefield to cover the entire broken country, it's a different story. Hong Yuntian looked at him coldly and said, Don't be happy too early. Although I know where the node of the spatial turbulence is, to destroy it, you have to have an attack power close to the limit of the realm. In other words, you have to have an explosive power comparable to the mid-soul formation stage in order to successfully disrupt the spatial turbulence. Mid-soul formation stage, Lu Kuan's expression froze, but then he remembered the golden blade aura that appeared when the snow-soul dual blades merged for the first time. That terrifying pressure made his heart palpitate even when he recalled it now. While thinking, his hands twisted and 2 4-feet-long blades extended from his flesh. Looking at this pair of weapons, he fell into deep thought. Hong Yuntian said, Seems like you have thought of it. But at that time, we only merged with the frenzy demon will temporarily. Not only did it take a long time to cast, the duration was also very short. But if the demon race breaks the seal, our chance to attack the spatial node will be gone. If we are not careful, we will fail. Lu Kuan took a deep breath and put away the snow-soul dual blades. He said slowly, There is still time. As for how to quickly merge with the frenzy demon will, we will discuss it as we go. Hong Yuntian nodded. Then he remembered something and said, By the way, give me Su Junwen's storage bracelet. There seems to be an interesting secret art in it. Lu Kuan threw it over casually. Then, the 2 of them flew up and left this ruined mountain. At the edge of the ancient battlefield, the 8 pseudo-soul formation stage experts had already passed through the white fog. They stopped in midair and looked at the scene in front of them. They were all surprised and doubtful. After the fog restriction, countless purple-black clouds appeared in the sky as far as their eyes could see. They were of different sizes and looked like spots in the sky. Wu Wenxuan's divine sense scanned the nearest purple-black clouds. His eyes flashed with confusion, but then he came back to his senses. He said with fear, "What is this?" In addition to the pure demon primordial qi, there seems to be an aura that makes people sleepy. The other pseudo-soul formation stage experts' faces were a bit pale. They seemed to be affected by the purple-black clouds. All the spatial cracks have turned into these demonic spots. It's as if someone is setting up a formation behind the cracks. Did you guys notice that the spatial cracks that should be leaking spiritual qi have all dimmed and lost their luster? Wait, the range of my divine sense has been suppressed. As everyone investigated, their expressions became more and more serious. They had never encountered such a situation in tens of thousands of years. Fire Spirit Supremacy said in a low voice, 100 years ago, before the Broken Kingdom opened, the spatial fluctuations were extremely violent. Now, it seems that the demon race experts are setting up some special formation across the realm. The range of our divine sense has decreased, and the spiritual primordial qi has become even scarcer. In such an environment, our strength is suppressed, and the demon king is strengthened. Everyone, this time we must use all our trump cards. By the way, inform the nascent soul stage cultivators behind us that there is a change in the ancient battlefield. Don't go too deep. Okay. Everyone's expression became extremely serious. Even the Swanee Dragon King and the three-headed Flood Dragon were the same. Although they did not have a good relationship with the human race, they were at least on the same side when facing the demon race. Then, the few of them discussed and left behind a few voice transmission talismans. Then, they flew straight into the depths of the ancient battlefield. Not long after, those nascent soul stage cultivators also passed through the fog restriction. Among them, a few great cultivators quickly found the voice transmission talismans left behind by their elders. After reading the contents, their expressions all changed. Soon, these nascent soul stage cultivators all knew about the change in the ancient battlefield. 4 or 5 of them hesitated and turned to leave, as if they did not want to take the risk. The remaining people discussed and changed from 10 small teams to 5 large teams. Each team had 7 or 8 people. They carefully avoided the demonic spots in the sky and slowly flew into the ancient battlefield. Chapter 1286. In the depths of the ancient battlefield, the valley shrouded in silver mist became more and more dazzling. The mixed silver light was like a huge ball of fire that kept on tumbling. Occasionally, a sliver of dark blue spatial power would surge out. Around the valley, an extremely dense purplish-black mist had appeared. Not only was it filled with pure demonic qi, it also contained a strange energy that could make people sleepy and have nightmares. With the Silver Valley as the core, the demonic mist continued to spread in all directions. It covered an area of dozens of kilometers and was still spreading. As for the demonic spots in the air, whenever the demonic mist approached, they would disperse and turn into a ball of thick purplish-black mist to replenish it. At the intersection of the demonic mist and the Silver Valley, there was a light purple barrier on a slope. 7 demons stood within it. There was also a formation on the ground that was outlined with strange totem patterns. The newly promoted demon general called Yi Ning had his eyes closed. Balls of black light appeared from the demonic mist and gathered towards his body. However, only a small portion of the demonic essence entered Yi Ning's head. Most of it dispersed and turned into pure demonic qi that entered the formation on the ground. After a while, Yi Ning slowly opened his eyes. A terrifying wave of soul energy flashed past. He looked at the demon soldiers around him who were filled with awe and said slowly, "Those demonic beasts have all been released into the mist of nightmare, right?" "Yes, my lord. With your help, we have 3 more 10th-tier demonic beasts than before. We will definitely be able to keep the human divine transformation stage cultivators outside. One of the demons said in a flattering tone. Yi Ning said with disdain, these hybrid demonic beasts are mediocre. They are too weak compared to the demonic beasts of the Holy Realm. They can only use the mist of nightmare to mislead. The teleportation has begun. Yi Ning's expression suddenly changed. He looked at the silver valley in front of him. The huge ball of silver mist jumped like a flame. Apart from the dark blue spatial power, there were also bolts of purplish-black lightning. The demons could faintly see that within the crisscrossing lightning, there was a small ball of blue rolling out bit by bit. Inside the ball was a pitch-black figure. The surrounding silver mist intertwined with lightning and flames, continuously attacking the small blue ball. If not for the countless bolts of purple-black lightning that appeared out of nowhere, the small ball would have been shattered long ago. Seeing this, Yi Ning heaved a sigh of relief. Although the nightmare formation has gathered the surrounding spiritual energy and provided more energy for the spatial seal, this resistance is nothing to the Demon Lord. Sir, the only things that are hindering you are the spatial turbulence and the power of the realm. From the looks of it, the teleportation speed will be much longer. According to the previous plan, the initial teleportation should be. Having said that, he suddenly raised his brow and turned to the southeast, only to see the demonic mist at the edge of the area suddenly tumbling violently, rippling like waves in the sea. The humans came in so quickly. 1, 2, 3. How come there are 8 of them all of a sudden? Fortunately, the nightmare formation has already been formed. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. Yi Ning's expression was slightly ugly. He looked at the demon soldiers beside him and immediately ordered, "You guys, activate the array with all your might and maintain the operation of this defensive spirit light." "Yes, sir." The 6 core formation stage demons quickly surrounded the array on the ground. Their palms were placed on the edge of the array, continuously injecting demonic power into it. The barrier that enveloped them became even thicker. Yi Ning looked at the tumbling demonic mist in the distance. Although the fluctuations were intense, there was basically no change in its position. His slightly nervous expression relaxed and he chuckled. It's powered by the supreme treasure made by the Demon Lord using the Clam Dream Beast. Although its power is greatly reduced due to the suppression of the realm, and it's a bit difficult for a real soul formation cultivator, it's much easier to deal with those fake soul formation cultivators. The demon soldiers around him trembled with fear when they heard that. Looking at the mist that was constantly hitting the barrier around them, they focused even more on injecting demonic power. If such a terrifying formation at the soul formation level were to break in, their divine souls would probably die in a nightmare. Time continued to pass. More than a day had passed. The fluctuations in the demonic mist were still there, but they had only advanced a few miles and were moving very slowly. Yi Ning didn't look at the demonic mist anymore. Instead, he stared at the silver valley in front of him. At this moment, the blue space ball had already squeezed out of the silver valley. Accompanied by a circle of purple-black lightning, a figure staggered out of the valley. It was a burly demon that was 8 feet tall. His entire body was lined with dark black scales. The muscles under his body were extremely thick, as if they were filled with explosive power. The bone spurs between his joints were nearly 2 feet long. He didn't have any hair on his head. Instead, he had black horns that looked like rocks. The scales on his face were light purple. 2 fangs that were several inches long were exposed in his mouth. When Yi Ning saw this person, a trace of excitement flashed through his eyes. His soul that exuded the will of the true demon surged as he said, "Very good. I didn't expect you to be the first to come." The burly demon felt the aura of the soul. His body flashed and landed in front of Yi Ning. He knelt down on one knee and said with reverence, "Xue Qinggreet's father." The demon soldiers that were casting spells behind him looked up in surprise when they heard this. With their strength, they couldn't feel the aura of this newly teleported demon. However, judging from the pressure, it seemed to be a demon general. Yi Ning raised his hand and said, "Get up. Is the demon commander's side going smoothly?" Xueqing said respectfully, "The human race seems to have other arrangements in the spacecraft. The demon commander only sent me as a demon general to be cautious. He should be preparing the teleportation of 2 demon kings." Yi Ning nodded slightly. He felt the aura of his son at the peak of the middle stage of the demon general realm. He smiled and said, "Xueqing, do you know why the demon commander gave up the peak of the demon general realm and sent you here?" Hearing this, Xueqing's eyes were faintly filled with pride. He said, "Father, you once said that I am the demon general that has the most hope of becoming a demon emperor." Demon emperor. The demon soldiers behind him trembled when they heard this word. The demon power in their hands slightly stagnated. Yi Ning reached out and patted Xueqing on the shoulder. There seemed to be some meaning in his smile. "However, Xueqing, your physical cultivation is only ranked 4th among my disciples and descendants. Why is it that your potential is ranked 1st? Xueqing was slightly stunned. He said, "Father, you said that my divine soul is special and has the highest compatibility with my physical body. It is more in line with the requirements to become a demon emperor." Yi Ning's smile became brighter and brighter. His eyes were shining with a purple-black light. He said softly, "It is indeed the compatibility of your divine soul, but not your physical body." "Not the physical body compatibility?" Xueqing was a little confused. "It is the compatibility with my divine soul." As soon as Xueqing heard this, he felt a mysterious rune restriction surge out from the depths of his divine soul. The light in his eyes quickly dimmed and his body became sluggish. Then, a purple-black demon light ball flew out from Yi Ning's head. There was a purple-faced, fanged face inside. It was extremely excited and directly jumped into Xueqing's head. Then, a terrifying divine soul fluctuation began to surge within the incomparably sturdy demonic body. When the few core formation demon soldiers saw this scene, their eyes flashed with horror. They didn't dare to make any movements and carefully continued to control the formation, for fear of disturbing this lord's casting. After about half an hour, the eyes of Xueqing gradually lit up. Purple-black lightning jumped between the strong muscles under the scales, and crackling sounds came from inside his body. The surrounding demon chi seemed to be attracted by something and gathered here. "You can't break through yet. Disperse." Xueqing opened his mouth and let out a roar. The pure true demon will spread out and forcibly dispersed the demon chi that had gathered. "I just merged with the divine soul and the essence of the primordial spirit, and there are already signs of a breakthrough. My efforts to give birth to such a compatible son were not in vain." Xueqing felt the incomparable compatibility of his body and became more and more excited. He looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. 600 years. I, the blood-weeping demon king, have prepared for 600 years to change my body and cultivation. I risked my primordial spirit being swallowed by the spacecraft in exchange for the demon commander's help to extract the primordial spirit origin. Otherwise, with the primordial spirit of the late-stage demon king, it would be impossible to merge with Xueqing's divine soul. Next, as long as I break through to the pseudo-demon emperor realm, we will be equivalent to 3 demon king powerhouses descending. When the seal is broken and the demon commander's task is completed, I will definitely have the opportunity to enter the next realm in the future. Hearing this lord's wild laughter, the surrounding core formation demon soldiers couldn't help but tremble. Demon powerhouses were temperamental. If they heard this secret, they might be killed. Chapter 1287. Somewhere outside the demonic fog, a group of pseudo-soul formation cultivators sat cross-legged on the ground. Their faces were all pale and their robes were slightly damaged. The demonic fog around them was gradually calming down. Abbot Ji Yuan fiddled with a string of Buddhist beads in his hand as he chanted some kind of Buddhist scripture. His merciful intent turned into rings of faint golden ripples that spread out, protecting everyone within. When the fog outside encountered this layer of golden intent, it was like water meeting a reef. It was split in two and continued to flow into the distance. At this moment, everyone suddenly opened their eyes as if they had sensed something. They turned to look in the same direction. However, there was a towering mountain that was several thousand feet tall. What a powerful spatial ripple! 25 miles away. It seems to be the direction of the spatial seal. The demonic realm has already begun to teleport. This mirage is too realistic. So, this is where the spatial seal is. Paragon Huoling looked at the mountain not far away and relaxed slightly. From the ripple, it shouldn't be the demonic king's teleportation. He looked at another person and said, "Fellow Wu, you came here 600 years ago. How did it feel?" Wu Wenxuan said slowly, "Although this ripple disappeared in a flash, it was much weaker than the spatial power of the demonic king's teleportation. The demonic realm is doing the same as before. They're teleporting demonic generals first." The three-headed dragon woman leaned against a rock weakly. Her physical body had recovered a lot and she could barely take human form. However, this physical body could not fight. She could only rely on her true yuan to cast spells. She said coldly, "The fog here is so strange. Even our divine sense will be invaded, and we will fall into a nightmare. In addition, there are mirage-like illusions everywhere. I don't know how long it will take to cross the distance of several dozen miles." Swanee Dragon King said gloomily, "Huoling, what do you plan to do?" Only Ji Yuan and Mo Qing, who have comprehended their own intent, can resist the strange energy in the demonic fog. Even if we reach the spatial seal under their protection, how can we unleash our power in such an environment? Even a demonic king might not be enough. Hearing the two demonic kings' words, the others fell silent. In the beginning, they found that the strange energy in the fog was the same as the demonic spots outside, which would make them sleepy. However, after entering the demonic fog, they found that it was much scarier than they thought. Once they released their divine sense, the energy would invade them from all directions. Everyone fell into a nightmare. Then, all kinds of mirages appeared around them. Due to the nightmare, they even fought each other. If it were not for the lack of spiritual energy around them and Ji Yuan and Mo awakening one after another, the consequences. Now that they had a chance to catch their breath, they realized that the strange energy in the demonic mist could not be completely blocked by the nascent spirit and divine consciousness of the pseudo-divinity transformation stage. Only pure willpower could resist it. Among these people, only Ji Yuan and Mo Qing had comprehended their wills on their own. Moreover, after fully activating their Buddhist will of compassion, they were able to completely isolate the nightmarish energy. Fire Spirit Master looked around and said in a low voice, "This strange demon mist is stimulated by the demon spots. I am afraid it is a great magic that the demon clan used to separate us from the other world. They want to keep us out so that the demon king can break the space seal." He was silent for a while and said, "We can leave now. But when the spatial seal is broken, it won't be just two demonic kings. It will be the invasion of the entire demonic race. Now is the time when we have the greatest chance." Gu Deming frowned and said, "We have to stop the invasion of the demonic race. But first, we have to get rid of this demonic fog." Reverend Ice Spirit pondered and said, "We've been in the ancient battlefield for a day, and the demonic race has only sent their first demonic general. It wasn't this slow before." Wu Wenxuan heard this and said, "If that's the case, the spatial seal is still working. Maybe it's even more powerful. The strange demonic fog comes from the spatial crack. The spiritual energy there can't be completely dissolved. It's very likely that it's all gathered at the spatial seal. Reverend Huling nodded and said, I think so too. This demonic fog is cast by a powerful demonic race warrior. It's very difficult to get rid of it, but if we get to the spatial seal, there will be abundant spiritual energy. We can fight with all our might. After he finished speaking, he found that the other demonic kings, especially the two demonic kings, were still hesitating. Reverend Huling sighed. A spiritual light flashed in his hand and a jade bottle appeared. He said with a bit of pain, This is the only spiritual origin pill left in our sect. Its biggest use is to help the grand cultivators merge their spiritual energy. If we use it, we can't improve our primordial spirits, but our spiritual energy can be strengthened temporarily. I've tried it before. It's at least stronger than Ji Yuan and Emo Qing's spiritual energy. As he spoke, Reverend Huling opened the jade bottle and threw 7 pills to the others. Then he said, If the demonic kings teleport here before we get to the spatial seal, then take the spiritual origin pill. At least for a day, you don't have to be afraid of the demonic fog. It's the spiritual origin pill. No wonder the Five Spirits Temple has so many demonic realm cultivators. It's because you have this kind of pill. The few human demonic realm cultivators seemed to have heard of this pill before. They all took it happily. Bian Dragon King and the three-headed dragon sensed it carefully with their spiritual energy. They found that the frenzy energy had become slightly more solid after absorbing some of the pill. They also took it without worry. Reverend Huling, what should we do next? With this, the fear on their faces lessened. Reverend Huling looked around and didn't hold back. He directly gave out orders. We can't use the spiritual origin pill easily. If we walk slowly, the impact of the demonic fog will be reduced to the minimum. Even if we walk for dozens of miles, it won't be too far. However, we can't release our spiritual energy. There are mirage-like illusions in the demonic fog. It's easy to get lost. He pondered for a while and said, The protective effect of the merciful energy is stronger. Why don't we split into 2 groups? Me, Junior Marshall Brother, Emo Qing and I will be in one group. The others will be in the other group. Ji Yuan and Emo Qing will release their spiritual energy to protect everyone. The 2 groups will be 300 feet apart. With the help of the spatial ripples just now, we'll calculate according to the 3 directions. We'll verify the correct direction repeatedly. Everyone thought for a while and found that this was the safest method. They started to split up according to this plan. The 2 groups of people were 200 to 300 feet apart. They started to advance into the depths of the demonic fog. Although they had the spiritual origin pill, the various changes in the primordial battlefield made everyone's heart heavy. However, in the face of the threat of the Second Demonic War, they had no choice but to protect the spatial seal. In the depths of the demonic fog, the blood-weeping demon king, who had already occupied a new body, was looking at the Silver Valley. In the depths of the silver fog, purplish-black lightning and a ball of blue light surged again. He turned his head to look at the demonic fog behind him that had calmed down and murmured, Those humans have already escaped from the nightmare illusion. They're definitely coming here. The blood-weeping demon king's light purple face was rather solemn. It took 1 day for the demon lord to teleport a mid-stage demon general. It'll take at least 2 days for the demon king. Apart from the unexpected number of pseudo-soul formation stage humans, everything else is basically going according to plan. He murmured. Suddenly, 7 pitch-black tokens engraved with the image of some kind of strange beast appeared in his hand. He opened his mouth slightly and spat out several beams of demonic light. 4 of the tokens lit up with black light. The faint roars of wild beasts could be heard from within. Then, they shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. The blood-weeping demon king flipped his hand and put away the remaining 3 tokens. He looked around at the demonic fog around him and found that the fog was beginning to tumble in 4 places. Then, 4 beams of blue light flashed past. Sensing the 3 spatial fluctuations, a smile appeared on his face. Even early-stage soul formation stage cultivators won't be able to use their divine sense to explore the demonic fog for long periods of time. Coupled with the mirage-like illusions inside and the 4 fake spatial fluctuations, the human's advance will be greatly delayed. The original plan was to wait for the Demon King to teleport here before I leave. But now that there are 8 pseudo-soul formation stage humans, it's no longer safe. To be safe, I'm going to take action now. The blood-weeping Demon King ignored the nervous demon soldiers below him. His strong black body flew up and plunged into the thick purplish-black demonic fog. Chapter 1288. Somewhere in the primordial battlefield, there was a small hill that was several hundred feet tall. From time to time, a few streaks of spatial power that resembled blue lightning would jump around it, striking out pieces of rock from above. Rumble. A series of rumbling sounds came from the middle of the hill. There was a restriction that kept flashing with spiritual light. 7 immortal cultivators floated in midair, activating their respective Dharma treasures to attack it. Old Demon Xing Yun and Old Monster Xie were among them. Other than the 2 Devil Dao itinerant cultivators, the other 5 were nascent soul elders of the Prime Devil sect. Among them, a bald old man and an average-looking middle-aged woman were Devil Dao itinerant cultivators of the Great Cultivator realm. Their attacks were the most terrifying. Crack, following their continuous attacks, this layer of powerful restriction was broken, revealing the dilapidated cave abode's door behind it. Everyone's spirits were lifted. The bald old man looked back at the purplish-black devil fog that was still on the horizon. He said cautiously, "That devil fog is still spreading outwards. We have to finish searching the cave abode before it arrives." The middle-aged woman's eyes flashed with fear. "That's right. The strange energy there isn't something we can fight against. I'm afraid only a soul formation cultivator like Uncle Master can resist it." The bald old man pondered for a moment and said, "According to Uncle Master's information, I'm afraid a devil general has already been teleported out. Junior sister, you and junior brother Wang guard outside just in case." "Yes, senior brother," the middle-aged woman replied. Although the 2 of them were both great cultivators, her tone seemed to be respectful of this senior brother. "Old Demon Xing Yun, Old Monster Xie, follow us to search for treasures. We'll distribute the treasures according to the method we discussed earlier." Seeing that the 2 Devil Dao itinerant cultivators had no objections, the bald old man descended. If Wu Wenxuan hadn't asked him to keep a close eye on the 2 of them and use the 10,000-mile talisman to communicate if there were any special circumstances, he wouldn't have bothered to bring these 2 itinerant cultivators along. "What kind of special circumstances is Uncle Master talking about?" the bald old man thought as he walked into the dwelling. Old Demon Xing Yun and Old Demon Xing Yun followed behind him cautiously. The middle-aged woman and a rather handsome man stayed outside to keep watch. The ancient battlefield was the area with the most spatial cracks in the broken country. There were even many fragmented spaces, which were either the buildings of the Yuan school or the immortal cave of a cultivator. They seemed to have been swept away by the spatial turbulence due to the fierce battle and were hidden outside the interface. Every time the primordial battlefield opened and the demon clan teleported across realms, there would be violent fluctuations in the spatial turbulence. Some of the spatial fragments would be affected and return to the immortal cultivation world through spatial nodes and crack. These nascent soul cultivators had risked their lives to enter the primordial battlefield for the Yuan sect's Immortals' Abode secret grounds that had been sucked into the fragment space. Old Demon Nebula and the Prime Devil Sect's team were lucky enough to encounter an Immortals' Abode that had materialized from the fragment space. Eh? This is a demon corpse. The bald old man walked in front. He did not sense any restrictions, but he found many skeletons lying in the hall of the immortal's abode. These skeletons were black and incomparably thick. Their skulls were somewhat different from those of humans. One or two of them even had bone spurs. They seemed to be level 7 demon soldiers and level 8 demon generals. The owner of this immortal's abode might be a late nascent soul cultivator. His spirits were lifted. He could not help but look at the 3 secret chambers behind. Old Demon Nebula and Old Demon Xingyun were discussing with the Prime Devil Sect's elders how to divide the demon corpses in the hall. But at this moment, a short voice suddenly came from the direction of the cave entrance. "Senior brother." Ah! This female voice was filled with fear. But after saying a few words, she stopped abruptly. Immediately after, a faint black demon light rolled in from the cave entrance. "Junior sister. Not good. There's danger." The bald old man reacted immediately. Everyone else shuddered and moved closer to this late nascent soul fiend cultivator. Their devil powers surged as they activated their defensive measures, wanting to block this chi wave. But the moment this purplish-black devil chi came into contact with them, an extremely brutal and terrifying will attacked them. The defensive treasures they activated were of no use, and this will invaded them directly. The 4 mid-nascent soul fiend cultivators' gazes turned chaotic. It was as if their minds had been swallowed by the brutal will. The defensive measures in their hands collapsed. True devil will. This is impossible. How can the Devil King? The bald old man managed to mutter a few words. The black shield in front of him also fell to the ground. His peak late nascent soul divine sense rolled wildly in his body. His eyes flashed with a look of struggle, as if he was resisting the brutal will that invaded him. Your divine sense cultivation is not bad. You can actually resist for a while. An incomparably strong devil clan man who was 8 feet tall slowly walked in. Demonic light flashed in his hands as he held 2 nascent souls in each hand. Seeing this scene, the bald old man's eyes were filled with horror. However, his divine sense was fighting against the true devil will. It was difficult for him to mobilize his devil powers, let alone escape. The will of a soul formation stage cultivator had an astonishing suppressive effect on the divine sense of those below the soul formation stage. Moreover, this brutal will was more solid than his martial uncle Wu Wenxuan's. If the bald old man had not soaked in the water of the true devil and was already preparing for a breakthrough, his mind would have been swallowed as soon as he came into contact with it. As the blood-weeping demon king walked into the cave residence hall, he opened his bloody mouth and threw the 2 nascent souls in his hand into it. He then began to chew. Then, he shot out several black threads, which carried a dense halo of demon essence chi, and tied them up like rope. This devil aura is only at the mid-demon general stage. The bald old man felt the devil aura fluctuations from the ropes outside his body, and a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and suddenly released his divine sense, which surged into a jade talisman in his storage bag. However, because his divine sense was relaxed, he did not have time to leave anything behind. His divine sense was completely suppressed by the brutal will, and he was tied up in place like a puppet. The blood-weeping demon king chewed his lips and slowly walked forward. Purplish-black lightning jumped between the scales and muscles on the surface of his body, and an inexplicable pressure filled the cave residence. When he came in front of the 5 nascent soul demonic cultivators, the purplish-black lightning between his muscles disappeared. The blood-weeping demon king stuck out his barbed tongue and licked his lip. His eyes were full of surprise. I finally understand why the demon lord did not force his way in 700 years ago. The devil arts that the Yuan sect studied were prepared for our sacred clan. The nascent souls of immortal cultivators had to be demonized before they could be refined into Origin's spiritual energy. The nascent souls of these demonic cultivators can extract spiritual energy in an instant. They don't even need to be converted. They can be directly absorbed by the devil origin energy. The human race is a race of inferior bloodlines. Their physical aptitude is extremely poor. Although the golden cores and nascent souls that they cultivate can extract origin spiritual energy from spiritual energy, there is no way to integrate it into their physical bodies. No wonder they don't even have fusion stage existences. For other powerful races, these golden cores and nascent souls are a special kind of herb. The blood-weeping demon king felt the improvement of some kind of energy in his physical body and was full of admiration for the demon lord's foresight. And these demonic nascent souls are the pills that have been successfully refined. The demon lord is using this realm as a large alchemy furnace. Human immortal cultivators are herbs, and demonic cultivators are pills. If the sacred clan had invaded more than 700 years ago, not only would the demon lord have suffered a great loss, but there would also not be many demonic cultivators here. Calculating the time ratio, more than 70,000 years have passed in this realm. A large amount of demonic chi has invaded this realm. There must be a large number of demonic cultivators here. It is simply a huge storehouse of pills. When the sacred clan occupies this realm, they must keep the human race in captivity. The blood-weeping demon king looked excited. His barbed tongue shot out and smashed into the dantian of one of the prime devil sex elders. It rolled up a 2-inch tall nascent soul and swallowed it into his mouth. As his devil power surged, purplish-black lightning jumped between his muscles again. He carefully sensed the situation in his body. Xue Cheng's physical aptitude is not bad, and he has consumed a lot of my resources. The devil origin energy in his flesh has reached 90% of the demonic nascent soul's energy. In the past, if he wanted to continue refining the devil origin energy, he would have to break through. But now, with the will of my primordial spirit, I can temporarily suppress the breakthrough. Then, with the help of these immortal cultivators' nascent souls, I can temporarily increase the devil origin energy to 100%. Then, I can merge it with the demonic nascent soul. Then, I can break through to the pseudo-devil emperor realm. The blood-weeping demon king looked excited. He swallowed another nascent soul, and the purplish-black lightning on his body became denser. His sturdy body began to tremble. It can't withstand the increase of devil energy so quickly. This physical body's aptitude is still a little lacking. The blood-weeping demon king sensed the violent energy roiling in his flesh and blood. He seemed to have been prepared for this. A purplish-black ball of light flew out from the top of his head and exploded in the pitch-black halo. It turned into droplets of rain that fell on his trembling body and sank into it like blood in water. Then, his barbed tongue darted out again, stringing up the nascent souls of the remaining 3 devil cultivators together and shoving them into his mouth, as if he was swallowing dates. The blood-weeping demon king's mouth bulged. He was just about to swallow the nascent souls when the scales on his face suddenly wrinkled. He seemed to have discovered something. The devil light rope that bound old devil Xing Yun's body flashed and squeezed into the bloody hole in his dantian. Soon, a silver drop of blood the size of a fingernail, wrapped in devil light, fell in front of the blood-weeping demon king. What a rich chi and blood! Is this the blood essence of some demon beast? Wait, this aura is a little familiar. He seemed to have thought of something. His eyes flashed with uncertainty. It's the long-armed demon ape? No, it's mixed with other auras. How can such powerful blood appear in a human's body? How can such a weak body withstand such blood? Damn it, I ate it too quickly. I should have searched its soul first. Not good. I can't suppress it. The blood-weeping demon king's facial muscles trembled. The purplish-black lightning on his body jumped violently again. He quickly took out a jade bottle and absorbed the drop of blood. Then, He chewed on the nascent soul in his mouth, and closed his eyes to absorb it. Chapter 1289. At the edge of the primordial battlefield, outside the thin white mist, Lu Kuan's burly figure stood in midair. Beside him floated a white-haired middle-aged man and a beautiful young woman. The middle-aged man held two colorful discs in his hands. He was sweating profusely. "Master Lu, it's really not because of my spell. These 5 spirit discs have suddenly lost their effectiveness." Lu Kuan waved his hand and took the 5 spirit discs in front of the middle-aged man. He looked at them briefly and snorted coldly. It should be the work of the old man from the 5 spirit temple. What a coward. He dared to attack Lu before, but now he's afraid of my counterattack. Hearing this, the middle-aged man and the young woman became even more panicked. Lu Kuan pondered for a moment and said, "Mo Hongkai, when you went in earlier, you saw old demon Xingyun, right?" The white-haired man was slightly stunned. "I saw him. Old demon Xingyun and old monster Xie were together. They even formed a team with fellow Taoists from the Prime Devil sect." Lu Kuan rubbed his chin and looked at the 2 people beside him strangely. "You're the Grand Elder of the Supreme Mystery sect. Your own soul formation cultivator is also in the primordial battlefield. Why did you come out because of a little change?" Mo Hongkai said awkwardly, "It was Master Uncle Gu who told us to come out. The Supreme Mystery sect, suffered a great loss in strength and should be resting. He specially left a voice transmission talisman and told us to leave." Lu Kuan clicked his tongue and said, "Gu Deming understands. Alright, don't be nervous. Lu has an agreement with him. The grudge between the Supreme Mystery sect and the Body Refining Pavilion is over." Hearing this, Mo Hongkai and the young woman beside him breathed a sigh of relief. Then, they heard Lu Kuan's words again. "Right, you gave up on the primordial battlefield. What about the 5 spirit discs?" Mo Hongkai hurriedly said, "Master Lu, the restriction token created by the 5 spirit temple can only be used twice. Junior sister and I went in and out. It's no longer effective." As he spoke, he and the young woman beside him each took out a dim 5-colored disc. Lu Kuan glanced at it and waved his hand. "Go!" "Thank you, Master Lu." Mo Hongkai and his junior apprentice sister felt as if they had been granted amnesty. They bowed respectfully and shot off into the distance. Their speed became faster and faster, and they seemed to be in a bit of a panic. Lu Kuan, Lu Kuan nodded and said, "Before entering the Broken Country, I left a trace of essence blood in old Devil Xingyun's body in order to confirm whether the old man from the 5 Spirits Temple could track the 5 Spirits Plate. If he was killed, I would sense it. 2 days ago, the blood essence left his body and seemed to have been taken away by someone. With the characteristics of my blood, unless I burn Xingyun's body, it will be very difficult to find the blood essence. So I sped up. Who knew that the primordial battlefield would open in advance? From what Mo Hongkai said, old Devil Xingyun might have been killed by the Prime Devil sect's devil cultivators." Hong Yuntian's cold voice sounded. "Wu Wenshuan is the Grand Elder of the Prime Devil sect. They might have searched old Devil Xingyun's soul to find out your location. It doesn't matter if they found anything. At least when Mo Hongkai activated the 5 Spirit Temple, those old guys already knew you were coming." Lu Kuan looked at the 2 discs in his hand and threw them away. He said with a serious expression, "They want to isolate me from the primordial battlefield. They're really cautious. Brother Hong, do you have a way to pass through this restriction?" Hong Yuntian said in a low voice, "In the last message left by the Grand Elder, he mentioned this 5 elements essence formation. It's a giant essence formation that uses space cracks and pure spirit chi to set up. Only a special formation plate can pass through. The Yuan sect has left the method of making it to several sections. Now, it seems that only the Five Spirits Temple knows how to make it. Time is tight. The devil race might teleport here in advance. Even if I know the method of making it, I won't be able to make it in time. Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes. What if I want to force my way in? Hong Yuntian was silent for a while. It's actually very simple. As long as your control of heaven and earth's essence chi is greater than this formation, it'll be fine. But its function is to trap devil kings that cross over. If you want to force your way in, your control is at least stronger than a true early divine transformation realm cultivator. If you still have the devil ape transformation, you can shrink your body and reduce the pressure of the restriction. Then, you can use the divine ability to restore your strength to full prime power. Then, you might be able to pass through. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed. Brother Hong, have you forgotten the divine ability we thought of on the way here? If we can cast it successfully, our control of heaven and earth's essence chi will greatly increase. Hong Yuntian came to a sudden realization. After casting that divine ability, the range of the origin force field will increase to 8 feet. Alright, let's give it a try. If we succeed, we can use the Snow Soul Twin Sabers to destroy the spatial node. Then, a vast sea of blood essence power rose from Lu Kuan's body. Mo Hongkai and his junior sister had already flown for more than 5 kilometers. When they discovered that Lu Kuan wasn't chasing after them, their expressions finally relaxed. But right at this moment, a terrifying aura suddenly soared into the sky from afar, causing the magic power in their bodies to tremble incessantly. They had no choice but to stop. Fortunately, this aura only lasted for a moment and quickly disappeared. Mo Hongkai carefully extended his divine sense behind him. With an astonished expression, he said, "Huh? Master Lu has disappeared. Could it be that he directly charged into the restriction?" The young woman beside him turned pale. That aura just now was emitted by Master Lu? Rumor has it that the restrictions of the primordial battlefield can stop a demon king. Could it be that Master Lu's strength is even more terrifying than a demon king's? Mo Hongkai was silent for a moment before saying, "Ever since Martial Uncle returned 100 years ago, he warned us not to provoke the body refining pavilion. Obviously, the rumors outside are true. He was almost killed by Master Lu. This kind of strength is probably not inferior to a demon king's." The young woman patted her swollen chest and said with some relief, "Fortunately, Martial Uncle and Master Lu resolved their grudge. Otherwise, our supreme profound sect," Mo Hongkai said with a serious expression, "according to Martial Uncle's plan, don't take too many risks in the broken nation. Collect more nascent soul resources. Let's go to Flying Phoenix Mountain first. Yes, senior martial brother." In the demonic fog of the primordial battlefield, a group of pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators stood outside a spatial rift. Their expressions were extremely ugly. Half of a demonic beast's corpse was stuck in this dark blue spatial rift. "It's fake again. What kind of formation is this?" "It's suspected to be a demon king crossing over. It's caused by the self-explosion of a level 10 demonic beast in the spatial rift. The first one should be real. But after being mixed up by 4 similar spatial fluctuations, we lost our initial direction. Even with the help of the Origin Spirit Elixir, we have to calculate repeatedly to block the illusions of the mirage." The pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators' expressions were heavy. They had underestimated this demonic fog. Apart from the energy that gave them nightmares, the illusions of the mirage were even more horrifying. It could distort their sense of the spatial fluctuations. Venerable Fire Spirit and Venerable Ice Spirit had to take the Origin Spirit Elixir one after another and use their divine consciousness to check. Together with everyone's calculation, they finally found the trick. They began to search for the spatial fluctuations one by one. Unexpectedly, on the second day, another spatial fluctuation that seemed to be a demon king crossing over appeared in the demonic fog. But every time they tried their best to search for it, they would find that it was the self-explosion of level 10 demonic beasts and spatial rift. But every time such a fluctuation appeared, they had to rush over. If it was real, they would have missed the Demon King. The one in front of them was already the third spatial fluctuation that seemed to be a Demon King crossing over. While everyone was having a headache, Ji Yuan suddenly noticed that the true essence in Venerable Fire Spirit's body was also fluctuating. She could not help but ask, "What's wrong, Brother Fire Spirit?" Venerable Fire Spirit looked around and said coldly, "Just now, I sensed the 5 spirit plates' abnormal movement. Lu Kuan has just arrived outside the ancient battlefield. Your previous judgment was wrong." Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Wu Wenxuan's expression changed slightly. He said, "Fire Spirit, is what you said true?" Supremacy Fiery Spirit said solemnly, "Fellow Taoist Wu, I know you suspect that Lu Kuan snuck in and killed a few of the Prime Devil Sect's apprentice nephews. But I can clearly sense that the 5 spirits plate was just activated." Venerable Ice Spirit also said, "That's right. I sensed it too. But Senior Brother and I have already used a secret technique to make the 5 spirit plate lose its effect. Lu Kuan shouldn't be able to come in." Wu Wenxuan did not care about Lu Kuan. Instead, he mumbled, "We have 2 great cultivators in our sect, 3 peak nascent soul middle stage cultivators, and 2 itinerant devil cultivators. Even if several top-level devil generals join forces, it's impossible that Martial Nephew Ma couldn't even say a word. If it's not Lu Kuan." The faces of the pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators turned pale. To be able to kill 7 top-notch fiendish cultivators in an instant, such overwhelming power was definitely at the soul formation stage. However, they all knew the owner of the 5 spirit disc. If it wasn't Lu Kuan, it meant that the enemy was from the primordial battlefield. "A Demon King has already crossed over?" Impossible. We can sense the space ripples of a Demon King even at the edge of the ancient battlefield. It should be a devil general. Ji Yuan could comprehend the power of will in the late nascent soul stage. There must be some powerful cultivators in the devil race who have integrated the true devil intent in the devil general stage. If they use the true devil intent to deal with the devil cultivators of the Prime Devil Sect, they might be able to kill them in a short time. The devil race wants this peak devil general to break through to the devil king stage here? But the breakthrough of a major stage can't be done in a few days. It will take at least a month. A peak devil general who has integrated the true devil intent. Although he doesn't have any special abilities, his combat power is still not to be underestimated. No wonder the first space ripple only appeared after a day. It's because a powerful cultivator was teleported here. The few soul formation stage cultivators were slightly relieved after analyzing the result, but their eyes were still serious. Just then, another strong space ripple came from somewhere in the devil fog. These pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators' faces turned pale. Venerable Fire Spirit said in a low voice, "My junior brother and I've lost our effect. The rest of us can take it in turns. It can last for 6 days. I don't believe the Devil King won't be teleported here. Let's continue tracking." Next, it's fellow Taoist Wu's turn to take it. Wu Wenxuan came back to his senses. Without hesitation, he swallowed the origin spirit pill. The brutal intent in his body suddenly became solid. His soul formation stage consciousness surged out and sensed the direction of the space ripple just now. Everyone split into 2 groups and continued to calculate. Chapter 1290. In the depths of the demonic fog of the ancient battlefield, in the valley where the space was sealed, the silver fog that resembled a giant fireball gradually calmed down. Outside the silver light, there was a burly figure. This was a demon that was 9 feet tall. He had a head of dark purple short hair. The scales on his face were small and neat, and he looked quite handsome. His entire body was covered in dark purple scales. On the joints of his bones there were bone spurs that were 3 feet long. "Welcome, Lord Demon King." At the edge of the demonic fog more than 200 feet away, several demons stood in the protective shield of the slope and bowed to this man from afar. The leader was the newly promoted demon general, Yi Ning. This demon that was originally unconscious had woken up at some point. When the Black Wind Demon King heard these voices, he looked over with his long and narrow eyes. His figure flashed, and like a purple lightning bolt, he drew ripples in the air and landed in front of these demons. His hoarse voice rang out, "You just broke through and your soul is still a bit unstable. Are you the body that carries Xue Qi's primordial spirit? Where did Xue Qi's primordial spirit go? And where is Xueqing who just teleported here? Shouldn't you be guarding here?" Yi Ning was already prepared for these questions. He respectfully said, "Lord, after Lord Xueqi arrived, his primordial spirit was attacked by the space storm and was very weak. He barely managed to set up the nightmare formation before he dissipated. As soon as Lord Xueqing teleported here, he found 8 pseudo-divine transformation realm cultivators rushing here. In order to ensure that the plan is carried out, Lord Xueqing went out 2 days ago to find a place to break through. Xueqi is so unlucky?" Hearing the first 2 sentences, the Black Wind Demon King was shocked. But then, he said with some dissatisfaction, "It is so difficult to break through to become a pseudo-demon emperor. I really don't understand why Lord Demon King arranged for Xueqing to come here. This guy's talent is clearly lacking. 8 human pseudo-divine transformation realm cultivators. It's fine if this guy succeeds, but if he fails, I will be under a lot of pressure." Hearing these complaints, the newly promoted demon general Yi Ning and the other demon soldiers lowered their heads and didn't say anything. "Alright, you guys continue to stay here. I will go into the nightmare fog." "Wait, the aura of a human." Black Wind suddenly squinted his eyes, and a triangular purplish-black scale on his forehead emitted a trace of purple light. His burly demonic body directly rushed into the demonic mist. At the same time, the purplish-black fog hundreds of feet away suddenly began to churn. Several thick spiritual lights squeezed out from the purplish-black fog, and a powerful spiritual sense with the same brutal intent swept the surroundings. Spatial seal. I found the right person this time. There are demons there, and there's also a formation. Perhaps that's the formation I. Be careful, the Demon King's teleportation this time is real. The Demon King has disappeared. It is very likely that he is hiding in the demonic fog. When the cultivators led by Fire Spirit Supremacy saw the valley that looked like a silver fireball and sensed the extremely dense spirit chi here, they first looked relieved, but then they became vigilant. They didn't stop. 8 streaks of light flashed at the same time, and directly flew to the top of the silver valley. Streaks of spiritual sense with the power of will spread out in all directions, exploring this space that was filled with silver light and spirit chi. They were afraid that the Demon King was hiding nearby. Soon, everyone found that there were only a few low-level demons on the slope. There was nothing strange in other places. This place was filled with spirit chi, and it was almost impossible for the Demon King to hide here. Just as they were exploring with their spiritual sense, the silver valley below suddenly began to churn. In the depths of the silver fog, they could vaguely see a blue ball of light and a large amount of purplish-black lightning slowly moving outwards. The Demon King's teleportation across realms? There were 4 waves before and 3 of them were fake. This means that only one Demon King is coming. This is the second one. The Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi around the spatial seal is several times denser than 600 years ago. Looking at this speed, this Demon King will need at least 2 days to teleport here. Let's kill those demons first. The array under their feet is a bit strange. Gu Deming waved his right hand in front of him, and the surrounding spiritual aura quickly gathered. Then, it turned into a solid sword aura that exuded a green halo. He waved his sleeve, and shot it toward the slope not far away. The terrifying aura of the spirit chi manifestation level spread out. The few demons, including Yi Ning, all had their scales stand up. They all looked terrified. At this moment, a black demon claw suddenly rushed out of the demonic fog. This demon claw was filled with a black halo. It was so solid that the scales on it could be seen clearly. The demon light claw grabbed the green sword light. The dense demon chi squeezed inwards, and the sword light collapsed, turning into specks of spirit chi that disappeared from the claw's fingers. Then, this demon light claw clenched into a fist. With a monstrous demonic aura and dense spirit chi, it blasted toward the group of soul formation cultivators. Gu Deming sensed this powerful aura, and his hands surged with a seal. In an instant, 3 azure sword chis shot forward. They fused together as they flew forward, and turned into a 3-foot-long sword that surged with profound runes. Clang! A crisp sound rang out in the air. At some unknown time, that black demonic fist had transformed into a shining shield of black scales. Although it dimmed a bit under the bombardment of the blue sword, it still pressed forwards. At this moment, the fire spirit and the ice spirit master attacked at the same time. A ball of fire with a burning halo and a blue icicle intertwined, forming a red and blue ball of light. It was filled with some kind of destructive aura. Boom! A halo as bright as the sun lit up, and the black demonic light quickly dissipated, disappearing without a trace. The remaining demonic chi was squeezed out by an invisible wave of spiritual yuan, causing the surrounding demonic mist to ripple. Half of the pseudo-soul formation cultivators here had never fought with a demon king before. Seeing the simple fight between the two sides, they immediately understood. The demon king needed 3 people to work together in the spirit chi. Obviously, the demon king was more powerful than an early-stage soul formation cultivator. You guys reacted quickly. You left the demonic fog immediately. I was planning to sneak attack you from behind. An annoyed voice was heard. The Black Wind Demon King appeared from the demonic fog. He floated on the slope and looked at the 8 pseudo-soul formation cultivators from afar. He looked relaxed, as if he was not in a hurry to fight. The Fire Spirit Knight did not care about the Demon King's words. He looked around and sent a message. There are many space cracks around the magic circle that the low-level demons are guarding. Plus, their aura is strange. It might be the eye of the fog magic circle. With the strange demonic fog, even if we have the advantage of numbers, we cannot take down this Demon King. When the second Demon King comes, we will be in trouble. Let's destroy their formation first. The few of them sent a message and quickly made the arrangements. The Fire Spirit Master, the Ice Spirit Master, and Gu Deming all mobilized the vital essence in their bodies. A pair of fiery red and ice crystal axes, and a grayish-white chaotic essence sword. The 3 divine spirit treasures gathered a large amount of vital essence under the control of the few pseudo-soul formation cultivators. A terrifying aura soared into the sky. 3 rays of light shot toward the formation on the slope, bringing with them a large amount of white light. Seeing this, the Black Wind Demon King said arrogantly, "With me here, you can forget about destroying this eye of the formation." As he spoke, a 5-foot-tall, round-headed hammer appeared in his hand. This weapon was dark red in color. The front part of the hammer was like a giant iron ball. It looked extremely heavy. Thick devil essence surged from the Black Wind Demon King's body. The black devil essence in the demonic fog behind him rolled over and gathered toward this weapon. The air in front of the round-headed hammer also twisted as if there was some kind of invisible power rolling. The dense devil essence in the twisted air condensed into a round-headed black halo of light. An invisible pressure rippled out. The Black Wind Demon King let out an angry roar. The muscles under the scales on his arms bulged. With a whistling sound, he swung the hammer forward. Boom, boom, boom. His thick arms kept swinging. This humongous, round-headed hammer seemed to be weightless. In a short period of time, it collided with the divine spirit treasures 3 times. Violent chi waves surged out. Each of his strikes struck the divine spirit treasures with unerring accuracy. Not only did they shatter the divine spirit treasures' vital energy, but they were also sent flying back. However, the divine spirit treasures' devilish light also dissipated, revealing a blood-red hammer head. The Black Wind Demon King retreated about 10 feet. He casually carried the round-headed hammer on his shoulder. He looked very relaxed. Under his protection, the restrictions and demons on the slope behind him were not affected at all. Supremacy Fiery Spirit and the others had already expected this. This Demon King relied on the demonic fog and had an endless supply of devil essence. Moreover, with the demonic weapon in his hand, the Demon King could use the explosive power of his physical body to launch multiple attacks in a short period of time. It was far more powerful than the long-range control of the cultivator's magic treasures. With sufficient devil essence, the Demon King's Abhijna was even stronger than the 3 pseudo-soul formation cultivators. However, it wasn't just the 3 of them fighting. The Origin Sword and other treasures drew an arc in the air, replenishing their spiritual energy. The Swanee Dragon King's Golden Whip and the 3-headed Flood Dragon's Dragon Claw Dagger also joined the battle. The area they were in was full of spiritual essence. The consumption of spiritual essence was very low. At this time, they naturally had to use their advantage in numbers. Seeing this, the Black Wind Demon King held the round-headed hammer with both hands. From the demonic fog behind him, more devil essence surged out. He had no intention of dodging. It was as if the array behind him was the most important thing. He could not let the cultivators destroy it. The error-free chapters of The Ancestor of Body Cultivators will continue to be updated in the new Booksy Pavilion. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the new Booksy Pavilion. If you like The Ancestor of Body Cultivators, please bookmark. The Ancestor of Body Cultivators' new Booksy Pavilion updates the fastest. Chapter 1291. The turbulent airwaves kept rolling. The Black Wind Demon King was like a small whirlwind. He stepped on the void and waved his hammer to block the Dharma treasures. The essence chi waves crashed into the surroundings, and the sound of weapons clashing could be heard. Apart from Ji Yuan and Emo Qing, who were recovering the willpower they lost 2 days ago, Wu Wenshuan also joined the battle. However, due to the Demon King's suppression of his primordial spirit, he had to stay at the back of the team. He was close to the demonic fog and used the demonic essence chi to support his demonic essence blade. At this moment, the Black Wind Demon King was not only controlling the demonic essence chi with his demonic essence chi, but he was also injecting his demonic essence into the weapon. This made the halo around the hammer even thicker. Only then did he manage to block the attacks of the 6 pseudo-soul formation cultivators. This guy ignored the Demon King's terrifying speed and defended that formation. Obviously, the formation under him is the eye of the surrounding demonic fog. Our combined attack is far beyond the demonic essence chi that this guy can control. He can only resist with the help of the demonic essence. If he keeps defending, the demonic essence will be exhausted sooner or later. But if he escapes into the fog, then we can destroy the formation easily. No matter what, as long as this continues, we will have the upper hand. Lord Fiery Spirit and the others were all excited when they felt the Demon King mobilizing the demonic essence in his body. When there was enough essence chi, soul formation cultivators could use their primordial spirit to control the essence chi of heaven and earth to launch attacks at the level of essence chi manifestation. The consumption of true essence was extremely low. As long as there was an endless supply of essence chi, the true essence of a soul formation cultivator would almost never be exhausted. This was the power of the soul formation cultivators. Unless the nascent soul cultivators were in a space without essence chi, they would not be able to exhaust the demonic essence chi of this level. Human pseudo-soul formation cultivators used all kinds of methods to deal with the demon kings that came from another world. They would use up all their demonic essence and then kill them. In the past, they entered the primordial battlefield first and waited outside the space seal. After the demon kings came out, they would use the primordial spirit chains to bind them, just like how they worked together to deal with Lu Kuan. Then, they used the advantage of having more people to control the essence chi of heaven and earth to bombard them. 4 pseudo-divine transformation realm cultivators and 1 devil king. Even if their vital chi was the same, the more people they had, the more powerful their attacks would be. The devil king could only consume his own vital chi to defend himself. Under such circumstances, the true essence of the human semi-god realm warriors was barely consumed, but the devil aura of the devil kings was constantly depleted. They would be exhausted to death. However, something had happened to the ancient battlefield this time. A terrifying purple-black fog had appeared, which prevented those pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators from making the first move. Fortunately, in order to protect the eye of the formation, the Devil King had no choice but to fight with them. Thus, it was completely at a disadvantage. Just like that, one attacking and the other defending, waves of Yuan Qi surged out in all directions, crashing into the purplish-black demonic fog. However, this layer of demonic fog seemed to be endless and did not become thinner because of these impacts. As time went by, the pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators became more and more suspicious. This demon king had used up almost half of his demonic essence, but he still looked extremely calm, as if he didn't feel defeated at all. The Devil King from 600 years ago had already used up half of his demonic essence. Why is this guy in front of us? Fire Spirit Overlord frowned even more. However, at this moment, he inadvertently glanced at the Silver Valley below. His expression changed drastically as he exclaimed, "How can this be?" Hearing his exclamation, the other pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators all looked in that direction. They were all shocked. Why is the second Devil King teleporting so much faster? It's only been a few hours. How can he have covered more than half of the distance? I thought it would take 2 days. Now, it seems that he will only need 2 to 4 hours to come out. In the silver fog below, the blue ball wrapped in purplish-black lightning was only 200 feet away from the edge of the space seal. Although it was still moving slowly, it was several times faster than before. Seeing how panicked they were, the Black-Wind Devil King's expression finally changed. He looked at the sky and laughed wildly. "You stupid humans! Can't you see that the power of the space seal is greatly increased because a large amount of spiritual essence is squeezed inside? That's why the power of the seal is greatly increased and suppresses the teleportation between realms. Now that you've joined forces to use your divine powers against me, a lot of spiritual essence has been drawn out. Naturally, the power of the space seal has decreased. Let's see if the next Devil King will teleport here first, or if my demonic essence will be used up first." Hearing what the Black-Wind Devil King said, all the pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators came to their senses. When they first arrived here, they noticed that the power of the space seal had increased because of the dense spiritual essence. However, they didn't expect that the spiritual essence of heaven and earth would cause the power of the space seal to recover. The Black-Wind Devil King said proudly, "Let me give you an idea. As long as you use your spiritual essence, the space seal won't be affected. However, let's see if you can outlast me." As he spoke, he shook his wrist slightly and a fist-sized purple pill flew out from his storage bracelet. He swallowed it in one gulp. Then, the demonic essence in the Black-Wind Devil King's body was consumed at a slower speed. Seeing this, the pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators' faces turned even uglier. The spiritual essence of heaven and earth had become chaotic. Many heavenly materials and earthly treasures couldn't grow. There were no herbs that the soul formation stage cultivators could use, not to mention spiritual essence recovery pills. They could only use supreme-grade spiritual stones as a substitute. If it was the ancient battlefield in the past, they wouldn't be afraid of the Devil King swallowing the spiritual essence of heaven and earth, because they could continuously borrow the spiritual essence of heaven and earth. However, doing so now would only make the Devil King's reinforcements come faster. The demonic essence that the Black-Winged Devil King mentioned was a battle between spiritual essence and demonic essence. Even if the pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators used supreme-grade spiritual stones, they might not be able to outlast the Devil King who had the spiritual essence of heaven and earth. Zhiyuan and Mo Qing, have you recovered enough? Destroy that formation. As long as this strange fog disappears, we'll split into 2 teams according to the original plan. We won't be afraid of the 2 Devil Kings. That's right. 3 of you will hold back this Devil King. The other 5 can use the primordial spirit chains to ambush the second Devil King and kill it first. Otherwise, this Devil King is backed by the demonic fog. The 3 of us might not be able to hold it back. Everyone's divine sense instantly communicated. The 2 Vajra bracelets on Zhiyuan's wrist shot out and fused together in an instant. They drew an arc at the edge of the demonic fog and absorbed the spiritual essence and demonic essence, forming a dark golden Buddhist swastika on the surface. Mo Qing's mountain-suppressing bracelet came from another direction, bringing with it the shadow of a mountain with a yellow halo. It fell towards the slope where the formation was set up. Don't even think about it. The Black-Winged Devil King roared angrily. From the muscles under the scales on his arms, bursts of purplish-black lightning surged out and quickly infused into the demonic artifact in his hand. Apart from the black hammer radiance, there was also a shadow of a hammer formed by a strange totem. Then, he raised this demonic artifact up high and threw it forward. The huge hammer with a round head and the shadow outside twisted the air and shot forward in a spiral. As the hammer got closer, everyone in the distance felt their bodies tighten. The air around them seemed to have condensed all of a sudden and kept pressing inwards. It was as if a strange power was binding them. Strange strength ability. The fire spirit saint's eyes darkened. He quickly sent a message in his mind. Fellow Wu and fellow Gu, help Zhiyuan and the others. Us brothers and the 2 demon kings will defend. As he sent the message, he and the ice spirit saint seemed to have a telepathic connection. As they mobilized the heaven and earth yuan qi, the Zhen yuan in their bodies also surged. The 2 axes in the air quickly fused together, turning into a red and blue double-sided axe. The red and blue halos on the axe spun and quickly fused together. It actually turned into a pure purple halo. It seemed to be filled with some kind of terrifying destructive power, and its power skyrocketed. The 3-headed dragon's 5 fong-shaped daggers circled around the purple double-sided axe and flew out with it. The Bai and Dragon King let out a tiger and dragon roar. His body expanded. His human head twisted into a head that looked like a dragon and a tiger. Scales appeared on his body, and he turned into a half-human, half-beast. He swung the golden whip with both hands. Under the support of 500,000 kilograms of strength and Zhen yuan, he kept attacking the void in all directions. The tight air quickly relaxed. Ignoring the changes of the pseudo-soul formation stage cultivators, after the Black Wind Demon King threw out the hammer, a huge black saber appeared in his hand. He landed in front of the slope, as if he wanted to continue protecting the array behind him. On the other side, the Vajra Ring, Mountain Zhen Ring, Mixed Essence Sword, and Devil Essence Saber split into 4 directions, trying to avoid the Demon King's defense. But who knew that the Black Wind Demon King did not block the magic treasures at all? Instead, He suddenly bent his leg and his entire body shot forward like an arrow. He raised the black saber high up. The devil essence in his body surged. A vital chi saber light that was several meters long appeared in front of him. Purplish-black lightning energy surged out of his arm again. With the air twisted, he slashed forward violently. If the hammer that he just threw out was aimed at the fire spirit paragon and the others, then the saber was now aimed at the remaining four. Seeing this change, Ji Yuan gritted her teeth and continued to attack with the Vajra ring. The golden kasaya on her body lit up and turned into a long strip that blocked in front of her. Mo Qing did not hesitate to cast a secret technique. The Zhen Yuan in her body surged. The mountain Zhen ring in the distance flashed and appeared above her head as if it had teleported. A mountain of concentrated yellow light pressed forward. Gu Deming narrowed his eyes. He was in the middle of the group and was the safest. A shield that seemed to be made of wood appeared in front of him. The mixed essence sword in the distance continued to move. Although Wu Wenxuan was at the very back of the group, he still cast a spell carefully. A layer of purplish-black scale armor appeared around his body. Then, his eyes focused. The devil essence saber turned around and chased after the demon king from behind. He wanted to use offense as a defense, but at that moment, from the demonic mist behind Wu Wenxuan, an extremely muscular black figure suddenly shot out. The two thick arms each held a short axe. There was solid devil essence and purplish-black lightning swirling around it. It gave off a terrifying pressure that was no weaker than the Demon King's. Wu Wenxuan's face changed. In order to better gather his devil essence, he was only 10 meters away from the demonic mist. He did not have time to react. He could only desperately pour his devil essence into the armor outside his body. His entire body was wrapped in black demonic light. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.